You know, apparently League of Legends music still doesn't work. Oh, thank God I have my own album. Oh man, thanks Spotify. What an annoying little thing to happen. Damn. Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the VOD. It is indeed Wednesday. Been home for a couple days now. Had some time to, as they say, decompress from the convention. Yep. Had a little bit of time to do some thinking, some research, some digging, collect some inspiration, plan some things, and maybe even relax a little bit. You know what? No, actually, no relaxing until October 7th. Yep, we're going to work right through till October 7th. That is 2 weeks from yesterday, because at that point, the World of Warcraft Legion remix is on. You know what that means? That means for like a week straight, I'm going to play a lot of World of Warcraft. Man, so there's things to do, bro. There's a lot of things to do before then. Or even on weekends. Even on weekends, especially on weekends. Nick, I work every single day. I don't take days off. You're not allowed to take days off. You're trying to build something. Like if you want to chill out on weekends, that's fine, you know, but you might not get your project done in time. You might not get as many things finished. You might not get as many commissions done. Obviously, if you're working a real job, you know, you can work regular hours, and you know, that's part of the joy of working a real job, is that you get hours to do whatever. But when you're trying to do something like some big, silly, dumb project, unfortunately, weekends are off the table. Yep. But you gotta love what you do. It's fine. I was about to say something like along the lines of, if you like what you do, then it doesn't seem so bad. But no, it's a ton of work. It's a pain in the ass. But it's worth it because, well, you know, I have the fire in me again. I have the, what the hell? I have the blaze burning, the embers reignited from the convention. There was something about it, and I can't really explain why. But there was something that happened at the convention I wasn't expecting to happen. I was not expecting to come home in any way inspired. I was not expecting to leave the convention and arrive in my abode feeling inspired. No, Blaze is not here, unfortunately, Guapo. I wish Blaze was here, but I don't know, man. I think Blaze maybe is working during my stream or something now, or some shit, or things have changed, or I don't know, man. But yeah, I wish, bro. Good morning, Guapo. Good morning, Steve. Stuck in meetings? Ooh. That's rough, man. See, that's what you get with a real job. You get stuck in meetings. You know, you can choose to get stuck in meetings or work on weekends. That's like, that's basically the trade-off, so I hear. I don't know what it's like to have a real job. I've always wondered what it'd be like to like go somewhere to work, do a thing, and then finish the thing at a set time, and then leave the place and come home. Like, I wonder what that's like, you know? Because I don't know. I'm thinking about, at some point in time, maybe trying to get a studio space. Rent out a little studio space. My computer there. Art there. Tablet. Printer. Everything I need to do there. So that when I arrive at my abode in the evenings, I can't do anything else, you know? I wonder if that would help, or if that would be just toxic, because I like working late into the night. Dude, one of the things that's the most difficult for me to like try and schedule around is waking up early, because staying up late is how I get the most amount of work I've ever gotten done. I don't know why. I know that like, if you take, there are phenotypes of people that are better suited to daytime, nighttime. You know, people say I'm a night owl, whatever. That's true. That actually, that phenotype exists of human that is preferential, and your circadian whatever cycles up your energy later at night into the evening, whatever happens, man. The problem is, the thing that's a bit startling about that is that I can't remember the exact data or an exact number was, but it was something like, if you have 100 people that claim that they're night owls, something like 2% of them actually are. and the rest of them are actually just fucking up their sleep schedule. Something like that. So I have to wonder sometimes if there is that small 2% chance that I am actually a night owl and I should probably stay up later instead of waking up early. But I don't know, probably not. You know, just statistically, that's not the case. So meetings are how you afford art. Well, there you go. See, that's good. That's good. At least there's some positive out of it. No, I think that having a regular job is probably good for your like cycle and rhythm and routine. You assume you have time to finish that thing and not get pulled to 200 other things when you're supposed to be finishing that day too. Well, just don't take any kind of a leadership position, Cobalt, and then it's always someone else's fault. So I don't have to tell you, dog. Logging off after leaving the office doesn't sound like what a corporate America is looking for. Yeah, I know, right? They want you on point. They want you ready and responsive all the time, apparently. Time to go work at a video game studio, Cobalt. As I started dropping truth bombs so early in the stream, Evan. Yeah, okay, sorry. My bad. All right, I'll keep a lid on it. All right, there we go. I'll keep it locked down for a little while. Then we'll get into that 3-hour haze in, and then we'll start spitting some real shit. So I don't know. Maybe I should start staying up late. Getting work done. Playing World of Warcraft. No, I can't play World of Warcraft yet. I'm not allowed to play World of Warcraft until Legion. I hope it's good. I really do hope that the Legion remix thing is good and fun. I hope it's fun to play alone. That's what I hope, because I don't... Ooh, what the hell? Because I don't really have that, like, core squad of World of Warcraft players anymore. I don't really have any friends that play the same games. So, I hope it's, like, a satisfying kind of solo progression experience that I can play. Because I've been thinking more and more about solo player games. And maybe trying to, like, find some of the joy in them in some ways again. And trying to, gosh, I don't know. Go back, I guess, and think about playing some old games. Kind of like reading old books, Like when somebody comes into like, let's say the fantasy or science fiction genre, there's so many books to read. I just started reading a book that a friend told me, they recommended. They said, Evan, for the love of God, even if you can't get through Sanderson right now, here's something lighter. Here's something to wet your palate, and go read this book. And apparently it's a big trend online right now to be shitting on this book, so I'm curious. But it's a science fiction kind of thing called Red Rising. That's right. Apparently a lot of book talk's mad about it. And I'm starting to read it. Started last night. And it's fun. It seems like John Wick style sci-fi, which is fine. I don't need everything to be The Lord of the Rings. So, but I was thinking, it's kind of interesting if you get into the genre of science fiction and fantasy, there's like work from the past 40 years that's like worth playing. But why is it that with video games, I always get this sense of not wanting to play the old game? Like there's like the vintage retro classics. It's like, ooh, you got to go play through, Legend of Mana or whatever it is, man. Pick some ancient RPG. But there's something about if a game is a couple of years old and it's not really hyped up anymore, and you kind of, the everything's gone, everything's died down about it. For some reason, it's not as fun to play. It's like fun to play the new game when it's the new thing and everybody's talking about the new thing. That is true, right? And so I always wonder maybe what that difference is for video games as opposed to like books and movies, because they're not that dated. It's not like Mass Effect 2 is like so abhorrently out of date that it looks and unpassable as far as a graphical and storytelling and gameplay experience. But there's something about it. I wonder how much of it is just suffering from the hype monster, and what part of it is like legitimately that there is something that kind of like is elevated in games that you go back and play an old game, you're like, ugh, it's got like some old systems. It's kind of like not really, what I mean? It's like not really doing the thing as well as the other thing does. Because I've been thinking about playing through some old single player games. Because so much of my gaming experience and my gaming life was spent in multiplayer games. And I found myself not really sure what to do when the multiplayer aspect of those games kind of faded, right? When the people that I played with, the guilds, the groups, the communities, the whatever, kind of decided that they were sort of done with whatever game it is. You know? It's like there's got to be like a whole contingency of people just quietly, happily playing single player games and looking forward to them or something. I'm gonna figure that out. I'm gonna channel that, I think, you know? We're drawing some that characters that have no names right now. Examples, they are concepts, we'll say. Not necessarily. Ooh, I do need to be recording this. Hold up. There we go. All right. Yeah, we're just doing some concept stuff today. A couple pieces left over, and then I think I'm good. I think we're good for art for the night compendium. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, not having to draw an astral night for a couple months, or maybe I'm having fun. I don't know. Man. You know what I am excited about? I think I'm finally kind of like far enough away from Baldur's Gate 3 that it might be worth a playthrough again at some point in time soon. Like, definitely not right now, but I'm wondering maybe if in the cold dark of this winter, if it'll have been a long enough time since playing Baldur's Gate 3 that maybe I will be able to tolerate another playthrough. You know? I'm wondering. I'm hoping anyway. I'm praying, man. I need some single player games, dog. I need some single player games. Ella actually just said yesterday that she suggested that I just try playing the new game when it comes out. Whatever the new game is. She's like, if everybody's hyped with the new game, play the new game. You know? And I realized something when I was thinking about all the new game, whatever the new game is, that's been out over the last couple of years. I feel like the Souls-like genre has really taken over the kind of fantasy gaming side of things. It's either Souls-like or gacha. And I just personally don't think I could ever really stomach a gacha game. like truly. You know? Like I played Uma Musume with Ashy and Vixie and Ulnar for a little while, and that was like fun and like kind of a meme, but I wasn't actually like playing, you know. I wasn't really taking it all that seriously. I was just kind of romping through it a little bit, doing the thing. So I don't know where the fantasy genre is supposed to go from here. Maybe it'll like end up in the ARPG section, like Path of Exile kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like that kind of fizzled though, didn't it? Like the RPGs kind of lost momentum a couple years back when we had like Lost Ark and Last Epoch and those kind of games. Kind of not really representing, I guess, the the genre all that well with all their pay to win shit. I don't want fantasy to sort of fall out of cultural relevance with games, but I feel like it kind of is in some ways. It's like you have to go to the indie titles only for fantasy games right now, which is okay. I'm not the most butthurt about it, but I do miss those like big sort of like huge momentous kind of releases, trailers, drops, whatever. That's like the kind of thing I want out of games right now. Is I want the hype, man. I want like a BlizzCon type thing, event. I want an event. I don't know if there's any gaming events anymore. It seems like everything's kind of like gone the way of independent whatnot, you know, shows or media things. It's not like there's any big conventions anymore, hey? Like I think E3's done, isn't it? GDC might still go, but it's more of a dev thing, so it doesn't really count. Everybody's just doing their own thing, right? Like Nintendo still does their directs, I think. I don't know what other companies do. If they do like a Game Awards style kind of drop or whatever. I gotta think about this. Maybe I should just try drawing or designing my own game. Making the first Eldara RPG. I'll make it text-based so Cobalt can play it. I wonder if that would do well in today's gaming scene. An old school text-based RPG done like really well with some like updated quality of lifestyle things. I bet there'd be a small audience for it, hey? I bet you anything there'd be a small audience, people that are very enthusiastic about text-based RPGs. With the occasional piece of art or whatever. You know? It's like one of those projects that I can imagine you could get kickstarted because of like passion or whatever. Yeah, sorry, Cobalt. That'll be to call you out directly, but you know, you're who I think of when I think of text-based RPGs. It just happens, man. I mean, what's the most like accessible maybe style of game to make? If I'm thinking about it, like the most accessible narrative style game that you can make. Because I feel like anything like a CRPG or an ARPG, those are too big and there's too much going on there, you know, as far as like investment of time, and you need too many resources and assets. The kind of the JRPG style games used to be accessible, but I feel like, well, I mean, so not used to be accessible. They used to be the default for accessible games, I think, for stories. But I think that kind of turn-based RPG has sort of fallen out of style with a lot of people. You know, the Critical Role making game that might jumpstart something for fantasy games if it does well. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope Critical Role this game does well. I am always a deep fan of anything that Critical Role does, as far as like their heart is in the right place, man. The problem is not every Critical Role project really hits for me, because they have a very different view of sort of like they have a very modern fantasy kind of aesthetic, and they're not like classical fantasy like at all anymore, you could say. So if the game, like, the problem is, Vixen, if the game feels like campaign 2 or 3, I probably won't enjoy it. If the game feels like campaign 1, I'd probably love it. But Critical Role, like, even with their campaign 4 art, I feel like it's doubling down in that direction of like sort of very modern fantasy type thing. So I don't know. What's up, Cow? I don't know. Maybe, yeah, Would a game be more tolerable than like the modern fantasy, like a show or something like that you're just sort of passively watching? I don't know. I gotta think about that. What if people are still writing mush or mud for universities? Wait, what is that? Samurai. I'm not. The only M abbreviated acronym I know is MASH. Sorry, that TV show is a little too old for you guys. Yeah, sorry. Oof. It's too old for Cobalt and Guapo too, man. Multi-user shared hallucination, multi-user dungeons. Oh, interesting. I have no idea what, like, that clarified the definition, but I still don't really know how to define it. Ardwolf, I assume, is still one of the top MUDs. Archaea is another. Armageddon, there's a Wheel of Time one. So wait, can you explain like I'm 5? What is this? Yeah, multi-user shared hallucination, multi-user dungeons. I'm still a little unclear. Like I am unfamiliar with this concept. Almost entirely, I think. This is not necessarily a speaking crayon to me moment, it's a explain like I'm 5 moment, if you don't mind. Basically languages to write text-based games. Okay, I see. Okay. Interesting. That clarifies it a little bit. I appreciate it. Well, I guess if I'm going to do a text-based game, I have to, like, figure out how to actually develop it, don't I? I could probably get Ella to do it for me, you know? She is still, after all, a software engineer, so that is still in her calling, even though she just makes dice mostly all the time now. So at uni, people used to write text-based CRPGs for clubs. Oh, cool, man. Is there an example of one that you think is really good that I could go check out? And like, how are these even accessible now? Like, you know, there's a whole bunch of like old games and stuff that's like you just can't play anymore because it's just they just don't exist, you know? How would I even like get to one of these games to like see what is popular within the genre, to see if it's something that I think that I would really do justice, you know? I gotta do some boot anatomy. We gotta do some studies here today, okay, before we get into the boots and gauntlets too much. I want to do some revisions on some of the armor. I could do just some basic armor concept design stuff, but that seems like pretty boring to watch, so I don't want to do that on the main channel. I'd do that in the dark depths of the evening. Maybe. Or maybe it'd be cool, I don't know. Jared Aardwolf is pretty popular, used to be. Aardwolf, okay, hold on, let me put this in my... Just searched Aardwolf and got a literal Aardwolf. I didn't know that was a real creature, but okay. Aardwolf Mud homepage. Oh my god. This page has not been updated since 2003. Look at this. Look at the center thing. You know, the center graphic texture. The banner, the navigation on the side. Oh my god, the updates through the middle, and oh my god, dude. This is great, man. This is great. Play Aardwolf. Connect to Aardwolf via Telnet? I don't even know what that is. Okay, I'll have to do some research on this. I love this art. That's great. That's beautiful, man. Classic Frazetta era fantasy. These are the most, yeah, the more modern ones. Okay, got it. I've touched them in years. We had some custom ones in Universal Computers. You're chatting about doing your own stuff, maybe you remember. Oh, okay. That's sick, man. Let's give him Y2K blog. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. That's good shit, man. That's good shit. I like that. Alright, Mr. Knight here. You gotta figure out what's going on with his, we're gonna put him in... armor? I think we put him in armor instead of... like a breastplate instead of this. Yeah. Show off some of that ornate astronaut armor design. Like we did on Master Morale, which the internet seemed pleased with. The internet seemed to like Master Morale. Oh, wait, hold on. I haven't checked my piece that I did, my video I posted. So I tried making a video based on a piece of art that historically always does really badly no matter what, and I'm trying to figure out if that piece of art is cursed or not. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, shut up. Okay. Wow, dude. Okay, hold on. 1,000 views on TikTok. One sec, real quick. Give me a sec. It's reminded me. When I said the internet liked the piece of Master Morale. 2,000 on Instagram. Okay, Instagram's more consistent. Hold on. And on YouTube, well, I can't really view it on Instagram. On YouTube, 9 out of 10. Dude, what is it about the art that I did for Minnie that the internet just hates? The internet just fucking hates it, dude. Why is that? Holy, man. Okay, hold on. I need to look at it on Instagram real quick. Let's try on desktop, see if that is better. Miniful, the lowest ranking angel. Let's see. Huh. How many views did it get? Yeah. Oh, 3,000. Okay. Alright. Maybe Instagram doesn't hate it. View insights. Hold on, give me a sec. I want to see this. Follows on followers, account streets, whatever. Huh. Okay. Neat. Cool, man. You like it? I like it too, dude. 7 comments, though. It's awesome, though. Great job. Oh, thanks, dude. So beautiful. Oh, man. People are being nice, bro. She looks cool and pretty, though. She's pretty and instant follow. Wow, dude. Look at that. Anytime I stumble across your page, commissions are closed. Is your art even a thing? Wait, what's the reply? Their coffee sketch requests at the moment. All it takes is a glance at the link tree on his profile. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. Whoever that was. I don't know who that, if that's somebody from chat. But Noah Barbie. Thanks for that. Thanks, dude. Alright, sick. Cool. Get Mush client makes it easier to connect to games? Wait, this is okay. What do you mean by connect to the games? You know what? This seems like it's a pretty big rabbit hole for you to jump down. You commented the YouTube one? Aw, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it, man. What's your opinion on fantasy, D&D or shows that are clearly fantasy, but our heroes all wear modern-ish outfits like suits? I don't like it, Cal. I don't like it. I don't know. I can't think of an example. But do you mean like... maybe like the new Critical Role characters, how some of them look like they're more like Victorian era as opposed to like medieval? Is that what you're getting at, Cal, or is there something else that's like way more modern than that you're talking about? Because I don't like either. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan for well, okay. Here's the problem with it. There is a very clear vibe that one establishes with everything to do with the armor, the clothing, the outfits, the materials, the accessories, everything that things are made of, that things are, there's just associations that we make. Like if you have things that are made out of like carbon fiber and shit, people are going to automatically say kind of like near future sci-fi, right? If you have stuff made out of fucking steel and shit, people are going to assume it's fantasy, and that's fair enough. I think that kind of like preservation of vibe is very important. And that's like kind of like a big issue in the concept art space, is that's a very like well assumed and well understood kind of like thing. But when you get out to like the more public conversations, you hear people talking about it that have no idea what they're talking about, right? Like I remember getting lit up on my stream by somebody losing their mind, another streamer friend of mine, because I was talking about that exact idea. And it was like the person was talking about like modern names that whatever and how it doesn't really exist and the whole thing's just an illusion. The problem is the illusion is what's important. It's not about things being realistic. It's about being immersive. And I think that you build immersion by having sort of consistency in the periodization, the period of, yeah, the period of clothing and accessories that your characters wear. So no, if the character designs have shit like suits, like I think I'm also just kind of done with that too. Like as far as like commissions, I don't think I'm doing that anymore for people. I think I don't want to be known for it. So I think I'm going to try and hit more of like a believable medieval fantasy aesthetic with the kind of designs that I'm doing going forward. And if somebody wants like collared shirts and stuff like that with modern collars, like, no, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to, I'm just going to do the thing that I think is a better, more consistent design. So yeah. Suspension of disbelief is more important than realism. Yeah, well, yeah, it's believability, it's immersiveness, and it's the idea of the muscular versus skinny dragon. So like if you have your dragon wings that you're drawing, and you have your dragon silhouette look something like this. And you've got really like kind of small, like spindly, kind of skinny wings. Right? Or even worse if they're like smaller wings. The problem is that it's harder to feel like whatever it is that you're looking at is realistic. It's a lot better to create a creature that has sort of maybe more kind of like muscular proportions to sort of compensate for the very large kind of required anatomy, and to have the wings be large and believable. Now, obviously, the thing is, if you want to get technical about it and you have a dragon that's like X feet long or whatever, it would need a wingspan to fly that's like the size of, I don't know, fucking Manhattan to like physics-wise fly. And nobody's going to do that. The problem is that you don't, it's not a binary. There's not one or the other. You don't have either the realistic sort of proportions of a dragon or nothing at all, because there is sort of a place in the middle where people kind of believe it, where the suspension of disbelief happens, where you have just quietly inserted an idea that doesn't stand out enough that to upset somebody, like upset their immersion into it. And so I really resent a lot of the discussion that happens around this from people outside of the concept field, as if it's something that's not legitimate and not real. In the concept field, absolutely, you're thinking about this all the time. You're doing this all the time with everything. You're making everything, every decision you make, from, you know, head to toe clothing on a character to cultural outfits and whatever. It's something that's built into the idea of concept art. The problem with D&D is it's this more, it's D&D is a character creator where you put all of your sort of selfish isn't quite the right word, but self-serving, it's not the quite right word either, but self-serving is like, self-indulgent might be the better word of saying it. You put all your self-indulgent like desires into a character, which is totally fine, because if you have the world of the Lord of the Rings, but you want to be the cool person that uses a lightsaber, and then everyone's like, oh my god, a lightsaber, you're so cool in Lord of the Rings, and you're killing orcs and shit with a lightsaber, and that's the fantasy you want to write into it, that's fine, because that's the self-indulgent sort of fan fiction style of writing. You're not creating a story that's supposed to be like good from the outside, that's consistent and immersive. You're creating something that is a power fantasy or whatever in whatever way for yourself. This is why OCs, the term OC, refers to an original character in the context of fan art, not just a character you're making, right? Like I don't have a single OC in this, right? Like I have many characters I've created for Eldar, and not a single one of them is an OC, because none of them belong in another world. They all belong in the fantasy that I'm creating. It's like Sanderson's characters aren't OCs, they're just characters. And so you don't understand this kind of thing. It's kind of like the prioritization of developing and being a good concept artist. You don't understand that if you've never studied it. And why the fuck would anyone have studied it? Like, the concept art field is incredibly difficult. It's incredibly hard to get into. It's incredibly, you know, it's a legitimate skill that people are good at, and they have to be good at to do good concept art. The problem is when you get into this D&D sphere where everyone is expressing their own individuality, that's great, but the problem is we lose sight of the fact that these are supposed to be individual characters. So you could kind of look at everyone's D&D character as like this kind of like faceless silhouette of an interesting character that's a little different. So if you are the one that wears your kind of like Percy or whatever like suit, and you've got your like Victorian like, you know, vest on and whatever, and you look like a Victorian gentleman and you use a pistol, well, that's very cool for you. But if you base the rule in your world building and your concept off of that thing that's supposed to be an exception, then to me that makes it a little lame. A good example of what's required to do this kind of thing is Arcane. In Arcane, they had more modern kind of aesthetics, right? You think of Silco and those guys that are all wearing their like collared shirts and they look like kind of gangsters and whatever, Victorian gangsters, steampunk type thing. And that works for them because the world supports that kind of thing. But the problem is when you're trying to do medieval fantasy, sword and sorcery, then the modernization of certain things affect it greatly, and not in a good way. There's certain things that work and certain things that don't. A really good example of this, I think, is in Magic the Gathering, Innistrad. Innistrad had this cool kind of aesthetic of, it was like vampires, werewolves, but in a very, very dark setting, like very dark European, almost Lovecraftian. And one of the things they did, or maybe even like colonial America, like that kind of era, right? You had sort of like more English style and Dutch style buildings, and it felt more like kind of a medieval take on colonial America in some ways. But when there are a lot of the characters, like within the character design and the intentional development of the visual aesthetic for them, they included sort of duster jackets, which you saw in like Lord of the Rings. Aragorn had a jacket on, he had a duster jacket on, and you see these like tricorn hats. But we know that this isn't something like this is a modern piece of headwear or whatever, you know, that for some reason when you take a tricorn hat and you throw it into a fantasy world, it doesn't really disrupt the balance. There's something about it. Who knows what it is? We could venture guesses all day. And that's useful sometimes, but over-intellectualizing good ideas that you're like over-intellectualizing your gut, I've realized more and more is a really bad thing to do. Just trust your instincts on stuff. If you've developed a skill for concept, trust your instincts, trust your gut on it. But so whatever. Tricorn hat, dusters fit really well into fantasy if you apply them in a medieval way. But a lot of things like the suit jacket, like you were saying, Cow, I don't think it applies the same way. I think it always sort of pulls people out a little bit. So this is a whole massive topic that we could talk about for 3 hours. But realistically, I think that I'm not a fan in general, because I think it's done without intention. It's done haphazardly. It's done often in fantasy as somebody sees a vibe from a different fantasy and is trying to mash it into something it doesn't quite fit in. Because the whole point of D&D is people can play what they want. They can play whatever they want. You can do whatever you want. It's the game of imagination dragon game. And that's fine. But when you're world building, I think that you have to take more of a consistent, like, especially with your visual things like outfits, appearances, I think it's way better to leave that in the hands of somebody who's trained in that, not to sound condescending people that aren't, but it's just like, if you want a really great aesthetic for your world, hire a concept artist to create the visual development for your world, and then you can sort of like build your writing off of that. Trying to do it the other way, where you're forcing it in, you're like, oh, he's a fine distinguished gentleman, he wears a plaid jacket and a sport coat with a horse collar and a kilt. It's like, that's might be cool for you for your one individual standout character, but creating a world based off of that, people are going to have a hard time relating. Whether you think it's cool or not is great. That's fine. That's totally fine. If you want that to be your thing, that's great. But I think that if you're trying to have people relate to your story, it's better to think about the kind of the gut instinct of what are people going to feel about this. So that's why it's kind of, I'm always at a bit of odds with a lot of people that like are in the D&D scene that are like, oh, why don't you do this in your world? Why don't you do that? Can I be an astronaut with an axe? And I'm like, no. And they're like, why wouldn't I want to be an astronaut with an axe? And you're like, you don't actually. You don't want to be an astronaut with an axe. Like, but I want to be one. No, you don't. If you're an astronaut, you don't want to use an axe. If you want to use an axe, you don't want to be an astronaut. There you go. Done. Right? So it gets complicated, but realistically, there is an intentional reason why John Howe and Alan Lee didn't draw a single modern suit jacket in the Lord of the Rings illustrations they did in the 70s and 80s and whatever. So it's like classical medieval world, but all the poor townsfolk are farmers wear jean cover overalls. Yeah, that wouldn't fit. You know, you could have something that maybe feels coverall like. And then you're kind of getting into like the Final Fantasy sort of aesthetic, where they're taking some modern clothing, but they hold the Square team has a great irreverence for fantasy and for aesthetic, where they'll just design shit and it'll kind of fit, right? But the problem is then you're still kind of entering sort of more modern clothing fits, and then it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really hit right. You look at it and you're like, there's something about that I know ain't right, and I don't know what it is, but I know I don't like it. And it's just harder to get into. Like, one of the hardest things to sort of reconcile with, I think, as a person building a project as a creative, is understanding when to listen to your sort of audience and when to absolutely entirely ignore them. You know, everybody jokes about the thing that J. Allen Brack said at BlizzCon, where he said, you think you want classic, but you don't. And everyone's like, see, you're not listening to your audience. It's like, of course people want a classic World of Warcraft. But for a lot of other things, like the overall vibe of a world or something like that. It's not something that somebody who isn't thinking about this deeply all the time can really do, right? And it's great to be like a for us to be like fun amateur world builders and stuff, but realistically, if we're not putting a lot of time and thought into developing individual sort of aesthetics for things that communicate a very clear idea, then it just gets messy, you know? So how do I think it's because it feels like it could be made by medieval tech and skills? Yeah, I like sure. As I said, we could intellectualize it all day, and that would be my argument too. If we're really trying to think that way, is that almost there was like kind of, it felt like a reversion in tech, or sorry, in progression at that time, kind of being pulled a little bit back more into the medieval and feudal, and so I think the tricorn hat sort of fits like that. But at the end of the day, also, people aren't mad about it. You see pirate D&D, right? And people aren't like, pirate D&D can fit into medieval D&D fairly well, and people aren't like mad about it for some reason. But lots of other sort of aesthetics in there don't really, like, you hit medieval D&D or medieval sort of like European, I don't know, world building and concept with something else that feels like it could also be made in the same time period with the same tech. It just was something we did later, and it rips you out of the entire world. So it's very difficult to try, because the problem is there's that a lot of things within concept development, I think, are underappreciated as like you developing an intuition. That's something that somebody told me actually at one point in time, that the greatest skill of a concept artist that you can develop is your intuition. And I didn't understand what that meant for a long time, until I had an art director tell me to trust my gut on something. And I was like, oh, that intuition. Okay. Okay. Got it. That's the one. That's the way it goes. Okay, I see. So I don't know, for like drawing D&D characters is fine, like doing like commissions and stuff for people, but for Eldara stuff, I want to keep it pretty consistent into a vibe. Like, you know, I grabbed Ella's Way of Kings book last night or the night before, and I like sat on the end of the bed and I kind of jokingly tucked her in and started reading the Way of Kings to her. And so I'm sitting there with you on my lap, and Ella, she's all tucked in, and so I just read a couple pages of Way of Kings to her. I don't know what the context is and whatever, but I do it all kind of dramatic and it's funny and whatever, and you know, she enjoyed it. But at one point in time, wherever they are in Way of Kings, they are in a library having a conversation. That's the pages that I wrote or read, and they go to a lift to take them up to a different level of the library. And to me, that was just an immediate, like, kind of deflation of like the fantasy, like, aesthetic that I want. It's kind of like, oh, there's like tech. Okay. You know, it's kind of like all right, okay. But I'm guessing there's more context around the intentionality of having certain technologies and stuff, and I don't really want a 3-hour dissertation on how Mistborn magic systems work, but I'm assuming it's an intentional thing, right? And that's totally fine. But it just isn't my vibe. So maybe like also after like having read half of the book, I'd be more into whatever the level of tech is that he's trying to apply for the world. But so I say this with no context, and because I have not yet made it through any of Sanderson's sort of books. The one chance I gave it was really not a fair chance, and I recognize that and I know it. I did not give it a fair shake. Because I read the audiobook, and the audiobook was tremendously boring, and Way of Kings seems to take a long time. And I'm sure if I was invested in the Cosmere already and I was an avid, like, you know, Sanderson reader, I'm sure Way of Kings would have hit differently. I would have tolerated the 3-hour fucking intro, but at the time I just wasn't having it. So I gotta go back, and I think Ella said, and because I trust Ella's opinion on this the most, because she knows me the most. She said that I should start with Warbreaker. She said that's the book that I would like the most. That was her favorite book so far she's read, and she said that she thinks it'd be the best entry point for me, so that I would tolerate the harder asks of reading. Like she's like, to her, the 3-hour intro for Way of Kings wasn't a big deal. She liked it. For me, it was absolutely insufferable. right? So it's like if I can build some investment in it, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 14. Everyone says, oh my god, you just have to get through Realm Reborn. If somebody plays Final Fantasy 14, they're like, I can't do this, man. Realm Reborn's so boring. I can't play this game. It's dog shit. I'm not going to say, oh, you're missing out. You just got to get through 40 hours of boring story. Or a better example is Baldur's Gate 3. I talked to some people at the conventions about, like, you know, D&D and whatever, and a couple people would say, like, I'd kind of make the joke here and there, like, oh, if you can't play D&D, I guess you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, right? And I asked somebody at one point in time, I asked this dude, I was like, hey, you know, so you never played D&D, whatever. Have you ever played Baldur's Gate? And he's like, he kind of did this kind of like awkward, like he didn't want to be rude, but he clearly didn't like it. He's like, yeah, you know, I don't know, like it wasn't for me. And I was like, was it too slow? And he's like, yeah, you know, he's trying not to be offensive and say like, oh, the game you like was terrible. I was like, let me guess, you got into the game and you kept having to run around like you got to the druid camp or whatever, and you were just talking to people. There's too much dialogue. It's too slow. And he's like, yeah, man. He was like, oh, you get me. I was like, I totally get it. Like, if somebody says Baldur's Gate 3, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of my favorite games ever, but if somebody isn't invested enough to where they would tolerate the dog shit that was the druid encampment that early on in the game, I totally get it. And so I need to be pulled in first, and I think I can give it a real chance. Question for character design: how do you achieve a level of visual cohesion for a group like Adventuring Party, where there's a lot of people of different backgrounds and specialities? A lot of parties that seem visually scattered. So that's a really tough. Hey, that's a really tough thing to do, actually. And if you have, because the problem is anything that you like, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, any game, any movie, any series of fantasy that you like, where you're like, oh man, I really love this thing. There's a singular art director, right? Whether it's Doug Chang or Chris Williams, no, Woodstock, I don't remember. Fuck. Whoever, pick your art director. They're the one that sets the tone and directs the senior artists and the visual development artists to build that tone. And then you have your associate artists and junior artists constructing underneath that. And that's how it's done. And so the problem is, if each party member, each player is art directing their own character, you will never have cohesion, ever. Unless you are playing in a world that already has a pre-established art direction. So this is why you can have like a Star Wars game feel really good, because you have your one player who's a Mandalorian, your other player who's a Jedi, and your other player who's a Republic Trooper, and your other player who's like a Force Adept or something like that, and then your other player that's a smuggler, and they all fit in. You're like, ooh, they're all very different, because like smugglers and Jedi and all these things, but they fit together, man. That's because they're being art directed by the Star Wars art directors, and they're just sort of playing off of what they see. So they are reverent enough of the Star Wars art and visual design stuff that they are willing to be directed by it, because they think it's cool enough that they want to sort of contribute to it. So that's I think the best way of doing it. The second best way is to have the thing I always go back to when I talk about playing meaningful stories and campaigns, and that is, I know this is unpopular to say, make your character in support of and in service to the story the GM is telling. If the power balance, if you want, people want to call it the dynamic, whatever, the GM is supposed to be in the lead, but people don't like feeling like they're being led. They're like, well, I'm not listening anyway. I'm my own leader. This is my own story. It's like, that's fine, but like, kind of like a good raid in World of Warcraft, you kind of want your raid leader to be calling the shots a little bit, and then you still get to shine. But people have this weird thing where they think if they create a character in service of the story, that they are then being like followers, and they are not like, you know, executors of their own sort of will in the world. They are not expressing themselves properly, because they're like, oh, I would never create a character that's in service to my GM's story. Fuck it, my GM's supposed to make a story for me and my indulgent wants and desires in life, because that's what they think D&D is, and that's fine if you want to play that way. But you're gonna have a GM's gonna have a hard time juggling a bunch of people that don't have the same vision and trying to make their stories all feel connected, right? So the more you create a character that is in service to the story, the more sort of like cohesion the group is gonna have. So the way you do this is like, if you have your your world or something, and you're like, hey, rather than saying, I want to be a paladin, and I want to be a paladin of fire, and I want to create fire from my hand, and I want to shoot fire from my eye, and then I want to take a dump once a day, and I want the dump to be fire, and then I want to have a fire monkey that shits on my shoulder, and then it will shit in my hand, and I'll throw flaming poop at it. Whatever. It's like, okay, dude, maybe what's better is to say to your DM, hey, I kind of want to play like a holy character that's like a holy kind of like, I don't know, like Avenger, like Paladin archetype kind of thing, right? And I really like flame in that. Is there anything that we can do? And then your DM's like, oh my god, yeah, Paladins this world. Let me tell you about how Paladins work. Also, yeah, dude, we can create like a keeper of the flame kind of like, you know, order for you or whatever. And you can be from this mystical tradition of whatever. And now you've built your character into the story. And when you do that, I think you will have the visual cohesion will follow that character narrative cohesion, right? Because you will all have an expectation of fitting within a world. And now your DM needs to have a very strong vision of the world to be able to communicate that to you, right? Even if it's just vibe. If the DM is basically communicating the Lord of the Rings, you aren't going to create something that feels like it belongs in fucking, I don't know, Lies of P or Devil May Cry, right? But if your DM says we're doing a Devil May Cry style game and everyone's shirtless with red coats on and like big swords over their shoulders and sunglasses and shit, then yeah, you won't have one person being like, I am Arwen from Lord of the Rings and I will be the Elvish princess. And you're like, maybe that doesn't fit into the game there, James, you know? So I think that if you set the tone really well, because people can always trust their gut on this. You know, gut instinct, you know, out of a lineup of 12 characters, which one fits in each fantasy, which one's Lord of the Rings, which one's Game of Thrones, which one's World of Warcraft, which one's whatever. Even they're all done the same art style. If the visual design is communicated well, you will know which one it belongs in because there's intentionality to it. And so if the DM is very good at that and capable at clearly communicating what the intentional like endpoint for the style of narrative they want to tell is, then the player characters will fit together better. And so I think that if you want a meaningful story, being as close, keeping your character's story as closely connected to the main sort of story the DM is trying to tell for you is the best thing you can do. Because if you want to be the most sort of director of your own fate, captain of your own ship kind of thing in D&D, you're gonna have a hard time sailing on the wind stream that the DM is putting out for you guys, right? Because the DM can't know what you all want and how to push it all together, right? Because that comes down to design by committee. So I really, really do believe that this is why Ella Blackwood is the best D&D player I've ever met. She doesn't come to the game with any backstory. And when I say this, sometimes people say in stream like, oh yeah, I don't write a ton of backstory, just a couple of pages to contextualize like whatever No. Ella is the Luke Skywalker approach. You are fucking nobody. You are a hobbit in a hole. You are a farm boy in the middle of the desert. You know, you are whatever humble, modest beginning. And that's the D&D campaign is the story of your character becoming all the cool things that you have envisioned for it. But you just gotta have patience, man. I know people want to like tell their story. They're like, oh, I want to be like a cool knight that like casts like lightsaber sword fire runes and stuff. And it's like, that's a great thing to get to. But don't enter your D&D campaign like that, you know? Because if you all grow your characters together, in my opinion, then your characters will grow with and alongside and in service to the story, and then your character will be an enhancing point for every other person in your party. Because if your character fits with the story, if you are in service of the story, then your character, if you play with 5 people and all 5 of them are in service of the story, then you will have 4 amazing player characters that are on the same page as you for what kind of story you want to tell. So when you want your dope ass cool heroic moments, you have 4 people that are deeply connected and invested in you having that moment, which is awesome. So I think it's important there too, is to, and I get that the people don't like this. This is the big hot take that I always have that people don't like, and that's fair. People can disagree. I'm not mad. I think it's best if you show up with your D&D campaign with as little backstory as possible. Like, to being almost all like, just why are you here, right? You know, like you've gotten a summon from this man in Highcrest Hamlet that has said, hey, or sorry, even better, why am I using my own adventure? For Horizon, you are summoned by Endrick Avalon, who has a very important task for you, right? He needs people who are newer, that want to prove themselves and want to be sort of part of his mercenary company, Adventurers Guild. And he's taking basically people that are nobodies for a reason to ask them to go do this thing. Why do you want to join an Adventurers Guild? Oh, well, I have to find my little sister's killer, my mother's whatever brother that's the third vampire count. I don't know. Want to see the world. Okay, great, cool. Now you're on. And then all that other stuff, all that backstory can actually come like retroactively in. Because now you're sitting there at level 4 and you're like, so wait, man, why do you not want to go to this place? Oh man, my brother's sister's killer's son's nephew's in that town, and I don't think I could go there without, you know, starting a fight or whatever, and I'm not strong enough to take on the entire like organization. Everyone's like, oh shit, that's really cool. And it's like, you didn't fucking know that was your backstory on day 1, game 1, whatever one. You don't have to have everything completely rendered out at the very beginning of the fucking story. And that's why Ella's the best D&D player I've ever played with, because she never has any of that shit. So people will think that she has a very deep, rich backstory. The reason is because she's finding opportunities in the story, little like holes to jump into and fill and say like, ooh, I want to be from there. Oh, we're going to this town? Great. I want to have an uncle from that town. Okay. You're going to that town anyway. You have an uncle. Okay. It's a town of merchant knights. Your uncle's a merchant knight. Great. Cool. You know what I mean? And then you feel very connected to the story, but you have to have a DM that's very good at creating a clear vibe. And then you have to be willing to have patience in telling your cool story, I think. So, I don't know. I think that'll get the best visual cohesion or whatever. That's why Ravnica campaign clicks so well. We have somewhat a unified art direction. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, 100%. If you're playing so like that, if you're playing in a D&D world from Wizards that has a very clear vision, like Ravnica, which was art directed back in 2005, I think, when the first set came out. 2006, maybe, around there. Because 2004 was Mirrodin, and then it was Kamigawa, and then Ravnica, maybe 2007-ish. It doesn't matter. That's when the art direction for Ravnica happened, and then all the cards, you have all this art that you're sort of getting lands and all these cards and art that into your brain that it's creating an intuition as to what feels like it fits in that world. The same thing with Star Wars or whatever else. So, longest backstory I wrote was 10 lines, and it's because the DM asked for it, which is fair, you know. My big pet peeves with those fantasy romance novels is how everyone has running water taps and standing showers. It kills it for me almost every time because the buildup makes it seem like a high-end plumbing shouldn't exist. There's certain things, 100%. There's certain things that I think are like that we just sort of idealize and avoid of the past. You know, like the smell of a medieval town, medieval sewage treatment, medieval, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't talk about that stuff because it's not, yeah, it's like there wasn't a scene in Rivendell where Aragorn takes like a shit in the elvish whatever outhouse or something, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, we avoid certain things like that, but then trying to like the showers and stuff like that, like yeah, it's putting that modern thing that kind of rips you out of it a little bit. Geralt having a dramatic half-naked fucking cutscene bath. Totally cool. That was more of a like modern bath, modern-ish. The bath that Geralt was having was probably similar to something you'd see in like the 18th century, 19th century even maybe, but it didn't have things like 21st century style plumbing. So that's why I think that that kind of things don't. And again, it's all intuition. It's all intuition. Does this feel right or does it not feel right? If it doesn't feel right, don't do it, you know? Greg, the best halfling farmer in the valley. Yeah. What's up, Heat? Think you also somewhat credit your skills as DM for allowing such dynamic growth that adjusts for the campaign. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a good or DM or not. Like really, because stylistically, the way that I run games is very different from what I think the majority of people like. Like I've said this before, that I am I would love to start a new D&D campaign, but I'm having a really tough time finding players that are available and fit with the style, the kind of campaign I want, right? Because I don't think a lot of people would like the style of D&D game that I run. A lot of people want the D&D movie, and that's not the kind of D&D game I run. So I don't know. Maybe for the kind of D&D game I like, hopefully I do that, and I'm you know, flattered that you mentioned that, but that might be a very specific niche, right? I don't know. What's up, Smut with Plot? Good to see you, dude. Want to see how you DM for D&D or Star Wars? Well, Star Wars is, yeah. I miss our Star Wars game we were playing. I missed that game. That was a good one. That was a good one, bro. That was one of the more fun D&D games I've ever played for a long time with Ella and Dashto. We had all the time in the world for that game, though, so we really didn't have like the responsibilities that you would need to manage as an adult human. So I don't think anything like that could ever happen again. But oh boy, that was good when it was a thing. Oh boy. Welcome back, Smut. Welcome back, dude. Volunteered to be a guinea pig, but I haven't played in years, so maybe not the ideal player. No, I think no. You're a great player. What are you talking about? The issue is also it is also scheduling, right? The problem is there are people that I know that I vibe with D&D style, but the problem is trying to get that crew or whatever, people like that into a Discord call once a week is like very difficult. So I think that like if you want to be honestly, Mary, if you want to be a player in the new campaign, like you're more than welcome. Like you have an open invitation whenever I start up the new, because the way I'm going to be doing is I'm doing a Mass Effect style West Marches game later this fall, early this winter, and it's more or less going to be something that it's a large story that is like I'm Stargating it. Okay, it's gonna be like it's gonna be a whole season of story, with each episode more or less being between 3 and 6 games. So if you're like, yo, I can commit to like joining on the new thing. Oh shit, we're all going on a mission here. I'll go with you guys. Yeah, we got to go do this thing with this very specific goal to go do a thing. Great. I can commit the next 3 weeks to do that. Right? And then if you want to go and you're like, dude, I can play for the next 8 weeks. Okay, great. Then after that, we're doing the next thing. And you want to come for that one too? Phenomenal. But if you're like, yo, that was fun. We did those three things. Now we're back at base. My character, gonna go research the thing in the library. Got the thing? I'm gonna go research that shit because I'm busy IRL for the next 2 months. Okay, cool. So then 2 months later, you come back and it's like, hey, how'd the thing turn out or whatever. So that's the way that I think I need to run D&D, because there's only one person I can basically guarantee to be at D&D every single day without fail, no matter what, and that's Ella. So as long as I have Ella as the core there and a couple of NPCs, that's fine, and then I'll have like hopefully a group of like people that want to be players in that game that it's like, yo, who wants to come for this next little adventure part, this next little thing. I think that's the best way to do it, to be honest.
Love the idea.
What's up, Atari?
I'm in.
You're in? All right. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Atari, you'd fit into an Eldara D&D game any time. I'm sure you'd be a great player, considering you are basically the only person that runs Eldara D&D at this point in time. First time here from random YouTube short, and I'm here in D&D planning. Nice. Yo, dude, thanks for stopping by the stream then. I'm honored. Seriously. I don't hear that very often. Not many people come to the stream from YouTube, so I appreciate you. You are most welcome here, my friend. Major weeknights, homebody, so super intrigued. Yeah, I mean that's so it would likely be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that bracket, which is again also really hard because a lot of people are doing shit, you know? And I get it. It's tough, man. I get scheduling is a complete pain in the ass, but that's just like my intuition is that that's the only way that I can actually play a decade long campaign now. The way that I can play a 10-year long campaign is to have one sort of storyline and a couple of regular characters that are either players or NPCs. Because the reason I say it's Mass Effect style is because it's the way I ran my Star Wars game. I ran my Star Wars game for Ellen Dashto for 3 years, and it was only 2 players. And part of the way I did that is I gave them a massive cast of NPCs to play with. Because, like, there's this weird thing on the internet that people say, like, oh, DMPCs are bad. Oh my god, never have a DMPC. If you have an NPC that ever tries to help the party out and more than just, you know, wisecracked joke or whatever, or to be saved by, then it's like a self-insert, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't like this. But I would say that in our Star Wars game, there was about 3 NPCs, Sebek, Bors, and maybe Yame, that were main characters in that story. And so Dashto and Ella, they never ever even indicated that they felt like, oh my god, I'm being overshadowed by Evan's self-insert, whatever, DMPCs, blah, blah, blah. They always loved those NPCs. Like, the thing that the Dash and Ella say they loved the most about that Star Wars game was the characters. They loved the NPCs they played with. It was like Baldur's Gate. It's like I basically just gave you a bunch of Baldur's Gate characters, or a bunch of, like, you know, everybody loves Astarion or Shadowheart or whoever in Baldur's Gate. No one's like, oh my god, the game didn't let me be a hero because I had to watch Shadowhoney save the day. It's like that didn't happen, you know. Everyone, the NPCs are there to support, and so that's the way that I'm running this. So that imagine with you if you create your Astral Sage character, and you are really good friends with this scholar character or whatever, and so you go on a little like mission with the party or whatever, you know, and you rescue the thing. Great, you go back and you're going to be in the library researching this, while the party they're going to go to the mountain range to find the other half of the thing. Cool, that's where they're gone. You're chilling for a couple weeks. What happens when you come back into the game is your super close friend scholar character is like, hey, we need you back in here into the party, like, we got to use your skills and talents for this next like the mission. You're like, cool. And so the NPCs also serve as a way to sort of unify and drag people back into the story, because there's always something that'll connect you to what's happening out there, because there's an NPC that's doing something with the party that has an interest and a need to keep you up to date. So you're sitting there doing finals for school or whatever the fuck is keeping somebody for, you know, 3 weeks off of D&D or whatever, and you're getting letters from this NPC being like, hey, we found the thing, you know, I don't know why he's texting, but, you know, whatever, we found the thing, need you to look up the thing in the library, and then I can give you like a thing, whatever, off of, like, I don't know, I just, it's one of those things, just like, just fucking trust me, this is gonna be rad. So I don't know. So I want to have, like, probably, if I can, like 8 to 12 players that are like call upon a bull. Maybe. I don't know. Been blessed. My Pathfinder groups have stayed strong, meeting every other weekend for about 2 years now. That's great, dude. Yeah, that's very uncommon. That's very rare in today's age. And I'm honestly super happy for you. I mean it. It's very difficult to find a D&D group that stays like after everyone was like playing D&D for lockdown in around 2020, when everybody went back to work, everybody's D&D game just collapsed, you know? And so that whole like long streak that everyone had going on just like abruptly ended, and we all returned to normal life and whatever. So if you have a group that goes for more than a year, that's a treasure, dude. That's a serious treasure. I have a DMPC because I moved from player chair to DM chair. Original DM had a work schedule change. Everyone had to step up. Players free to let it go. Yeah, exactly. The players like the NPCs. So I don't know, this like whole hot take on the internet that you can't have like NPCs that are a big part of the story. I think that's just people that have like emotional damage from a bad time with a bad DM, and they blame it on like the system of having a DMPC rather than just their shitty DM. You know what I mean? Was a flank game, would love to be playing in Eldara. Yeah, I mean, fuck yeah, Steve. Steve, I based on what you and I have talked about for fantasy, I think you'd be a good fit for a game. Yeah. It's a stone is sending me the text version. Yeah, exactly. You still have to hit the buttons on it. What's up, Ernesto? Don't get me started on DMPCs because I played some of them, played with a few that were cool, and also had one that was a DMPC derogatory. Exactly. Like that's the issue. It's not about having an NPC in your game that does a lot. It's about, is the DM trying to self-insert or not? That's the thing, you know? that's all it is to me. It's like, is your DM trying to prioritize the player experience and the story, or are they trying their hardest to tell their fan fiction that nobody wanted to read, so now they're going to force your D&D group to listen to it? In which case, that's probably not the best thing to have happen, is it? For other reasons. Not exactly sure when this will start, but I think I want to do a little intro, I think, of a one-on-one game with Elle and I to set up the story. And I want to stream it. I want us to do like a couple week like Eldara story event, because this is going to be an Astral Knight story. This game is going to be an Astral Sage Astral Knight story. It is going to be a very connected to Eldara game, and I don't know, man. It's either going to be rad or people are going to hate it. But it's going to be the requirements are going to be basically wanting to tell a story with a character that and be part of a story with a character that fits into the world. So all the like exceptions people ask for when they create a character, you know, I know there's no tieflings, but could I be a tiefling and be from hell and be the son of the demon lord? No. No. Nope. No, sorry. Not gonna fit. It's not the Orpheus game in the end game now. Not sure what is next after the 15-year game is over. That's incredible, man. That's the dream, you know? That's the dream, it really is. To have one of those like long-term kind of legacy games. But like anything like once you've like reached like year 2, I think, of your game, you're in a long-term game. There's always the graybeards at the game store that like are like, you aren't playing a long-term game. We've been playing D&D in the same world for 38 years. You're like, okay, dude, like my 2-year game's still a long-term game, as if they're like guarding their secret, to like whatever. So a lot of people think that like a 2-year game isn't a long-term game. And so when I say I want a long-term game, I like clarifying 2 years is a long-term, but I really want that like 10-year decade campaign like Samurai has. Remember Magic Academy for 6-7 players for number of NPC students? Magic Academy D&D? That's a vibe. In Horizon, Zephyrin is practically a DNPC. There's a little difference between them and NPCs sometimes. Sure, yeah. Zephyrin is... The only thing that I don't have for Zephyrin in like the way that I run Horizon is I don't have Zephyrin be a combatant. I have him be rather inept combat-wise, so that the party has a reason for like protecting his ass in a way. But besides that, he is absolutely like basically a big important character. He will help solve puzzles. He'll have important things to say. He'll get his heroic moments. So yeah, I suppose that makes him like a full-fledged DMPC though, right? Where did I get spotlight? Just done. There's definitely some horror stories of the DM self-inserting. Yeah. I wonder though, you know, honestly, I wonder if those horror stories are true. Like, what's the pipeline of things being accepted fact? So like here's what I mean. Let's just say that there's an opinion. You have an opinion and it exists as its own little thing. So the opinion is like DMPC bad, right? And this proliferates to like a certain percentage of the community. So all of the D&D community thinks that like, or maybe like, you know, the royal alt agrees on this opinion, right, of the bracket of D&D players out there. And the reason is because you have, let's just say you have 3 YouTubers that make big YouTube videos on this, and these big YouTubers, they have this massive share of the entire D&D crowd, and so like millions of people like watch a video basically talking about why DMPC is bad. That video, why DMPC equals bad, that has like 10 million views. Where did YouTuber get that information? Well, they got it from probably Reddit. So that YouTuber did their research for a video idea, not held to any sort of like media standard. They did their research from Reddit. Maybe. Let's just theoretically here. Reddit is a site where you get updates, right? Based on how interesting your story is. And so I've wondered sometimes, if you go to Reddit and you have a horror story, a real horror story of like DMPC, and then you're some random Redditor, some random fuck off guy, and you're like, I want update too. And so you make another story about how DMPC bad, and then you get updates, and other people see like, oh my god, DM horror story. And so you, as the YouTuber that's held to no media standard, you, and then by the way, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, I'm just wondering if this is what has happened, or to what extent it's happened. So you've done your research now by seeing that the royal everyone, the royal us as whatever, have this opinion. So everyone has this opinion, DMPC bad. And so you then make a video as to why DMPC bad, and your video gets 10 million views. And so now everyone has this opinion that DMPC not just bad, but DMPC bad because of referenced horror stories. And I wonder if maybe it's like not an issue at all. So then the problem is then we have like then other sort of pieces of content pop up from the community. People, this is opinions from you guys in stream. This is opinion from me in stream, where we talk about how to solve the problem of DMPC, right? Or whatever the problem is, this theoretical problem. And I wonder if this thing that we're all sitting here nodding and like nodding along and shaking hands like aggressively once we figure out a good solution for is even a problem to begin with. Or if the idea of self-insert DMPC has been so wildly exaggerated that everyone's like, that then the idea of you can never have a DMPC, otherwise you're part of the problem, becomes this mainstream thing when all these other people are like, oh, I have DMPCs. Shit. I don't want to tell anybody about that. Yeah, I have NPCs that are really big parts of the story, but the problem is, so in making this video DMPC bad, YouTuber has to form an opinion, and part of their opinion is based off of an argument. And they make their argument by saying things like DMPC bad, right? But then they need like 8 other things for it. And so they start saying like, well, why DMPC bad? Well, how to know if DMPC bad? Well, if your DMPC does X, Y, or Z, that's how you know that DMPC bad. Because YouTube wants to be told what to think, not what the truth is often, because algorithmically, it's the most salacious things rise to the top. So this tells you X, Y, and Z so that you, the little peepo, don't make the same mistake, because you're afraid of obviously making the mistake of DMPC bad. And then YouTuber with like millions of subscribers has made the video DMPC bad. And so like, again, then you base your argument, so then you talk to a person that's not in this field and you're like, did you know that DMPC bad? And they're like, what? And I wonder to what extent this argument actually happens, because when I'm sitting here talking about how NPCs style Mass Effect D&D is great, no one in chat has disagreed with me today. None of you guys have said that's a bad idea. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I do that too. We're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I could see how that'd be dope. And yet I'm describing things that basically align with the arguments of how DMPC bad. It's bizarre, dude. It's so fucking bizarre how this shit works. But I really wonder how many of these like kind of internet opinions that I'm like, ooh, hot take, I think like having good NPCs are bad, is not a hot take at all, or whatever. Some fact that bad stories are generally more interesting than get more viewership. Same thing happens IRL news. Right. And but the thing is that well, we could argue about this, fair enough, but like there's supposed to be a media standard for IRL news. I know. But theoretically there's a standard for IRL news. But there isn't for YouTubers. So there's not even a pretend standard of research. So when you have an influential YouTuber or a big fancy streamer or whatever say, oh yeah, everyone knows DMPC bad, you don't have someone fact checking them being like, excuse me, where did you get your research? Well, I am just basing it off of these Reddit posts. This Reddit account was created 3 days before, and all the people saying DMPC bad are John 69, Sarah 69, James 69, and Mark 69. They were all created on the same day. And you're basing your argument off of those being a large, right? Like there's no accountability or whatever. Like we're just sort of forming opinions and vibes and whatever. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know to what extent when I say that like DMP, like having NPCs in my game is a hot take. I don't know if it actually is a hot take or not, you know, because nobody's disagreeing with me. Algorithm leading and shitification of the internet is wild. It's true. It's true, man. Need empirical meta study of all players' experiences across multiple game systems. That, yeah. Well, that's why I like to like ask people and poll people these kind of things. Like I do get a better sense of what's going on in the community by talking to people on stream and whatever. And like at the convention I was at this weekend, I have never heard so many people in my time, basically in the 5.5 years I've been streaming on Twitch and like doing D&D sort of as my main like thing where I'm thinking about talking about and whatever D&D for like 40 hours a week plus. I've never heard and asked so many people if they're playing D&D and them identifying as a D&D player that's not playing D&D as I had this last weekend. Everyone that I'd say, because I talk to people, you're at a convention, somebody comes up, you kind of have a bit of a script. It's not a script, it's just like you have the same conversation over and over again. Somebody comes up at the table and they're like, wow, this is cool, what's it from? And you're like, oh, let me tell you about the Realms of Eldara. So you say the same thing over and over again. So sometimes people will come to the table and look kind of bewildered and be looking at my art and being like, oh, what's all this? And I would say, are you by chance a D&D player? And often if they say, yes, I am, then I'm like, great. This is all art for the D&D adventure that I'm publishing this year. And people are like, great, cool. And if they're like, no, I'm not, I can say, okay, well, so in Dungeons and Dragons, you can make homebrew sort of like things that imagine Dungeons and Dragons like the system, the content that you make is you can make it player driven. So I make all this content for my D&D game. They're like, cool. So that question, are you a D&D player? I asked it probably 150 times this weekend or this last weekend at the convention. And so that will spark some conversations. And a lot of times people would say like, I am a D&D player, but they would often say something like, yeah. And I'd be like, oh, what do you mean that you didn't sound too confident? And a lot of people would be kind of like, well, I do play D&D every week, but like we're not playing 5th ed. And so they're saying, yes, I'm a TTRPG player, but I'm not playing D&D. I've never had so many people who identify as a D&D player tell me they're not playing D&D. They're playing Daggerheart, Draw Steel, Pick Your Poison, whatever it is, which is really interesting. So that to me is like, I can collect data on the D&D community a little bit, but obviously not in any kind of massive way. So it's just kind of interesting, I guess. You're a streamer of the chat is the game. You're not in a court of law, right? Was Eldara probably a larger question when you say, I run Eldara? Well, I never just say I run Eldara to people, so... I tell people that this is all art from my homebrew adventure that I'm, because telling them that you're building a world sometimes doesn't really make as much sense as just as confining it to saying this is a D&D adventure. People can get that. They're like, oh, adventure. You say I'm building a world. They're like, for what? Okay, what? Anyway, you know what I mean? I know at least one of them is true, or lived through it, but it shouldn't let bad experience taint a whole trope in your eyes. Sure, exactly, yeah. But it's common than people think it is. The kind of anxiety that gives DMs is not a positive force in the community. You know, yeah, Pater, that is a good thing that I didn't mention, but but identifying the harm that comes with this over critique of DMs is entirely a important thing to address, because how many videos on the internet or posts or whatever have you seen over the last 5 years that look something like my toxic DM whatever XYZ, or man, DM bad, DM did this, I had a terrible experience with the DM, whatever, my DM didn't let me, and you have all this negative stuff, and then you have all this kind of defensive, anxious, responsive content. People are like, oh, I'll make a video about how to be a good DM, here's how you be a good DM for your players, here's how you whatever. You never see content about how to be a good player. And so as a DM, you have people nervously like making YouTube videos like, okay, as a DM, you have to make sure your players are comfortable and happy all the time, and you have safe words for whatever, and you have to make sure that if you attack somebody, you don't hit their character's face because you don't want them to actually take a scar, and you have to, like, it's the kind of this nervous, anxious energy of like, oh my god, don't offend your players. But you never have it on that other side, like, hey man, here's how to make your DM enjoy you being a player a lot more. So it's like a power dynamic. The DMs are in service of players, which is not the way it should be.
Ivan Blajamis.
Right at the same. Should be an equal exchange of whatever. The DMs just guide the story more than the narrative, more than the players do. The players guide the events and the whatever more than the DM does. So, yeah, Mr. Gig Monster, thank you for the tier 1 for 5 months. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome back for another month, dude. And so you have all these DMs that are nervous to play D&D because they think they can screw it up really badly. And so they don't want to start D&D because they're terrified that they'll be put on blast, that their players are not going to like them, and they're going to get lit up and roasted on Reddit for being a bad DM because they made a mistake, which terrifies people. So that's entirely an important thing to talk about too, because yeah, making the content that the YouTube algorithm would put out to people that people are going to click on gets them into this feral frenzy where they're all mad at this theoretical bad DM. And so when you decide you want to be a DM, you're like, oh, hell no. It's the same sort of psychology that comes with like tanking and healing in an MMO. People don't want to be a tank in an MMO. Are you kidding? The reason why no one plays tank is because no one wants the responsibility. Because like everyone, if you're a DPS player in MMO, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, whatever, and you do something stupid and you die, it's like you can probably still finish the fight. But if the tank dies, you're screwed. Right? And so you're like, I do not want that responsibility on my shoulder. I don't want, when realistically you should be held to the same standard as anyone else. You die, the whole group wipes. It's like, oh man, well, you know, Jimmy died 3 times, Mark died twice, and Jane died 4 times, and you died once, bro. You're doing way better. But that's the one time that your group wipes, and you're like, oh god, you couldn't stay alive. And so nobody wants to have the responsibility of being a tank. The same thing happens with D&D and DMing, but it's like, I don't know how to like fix that. I don't know how to inspire people to like not worry about it, right? To have the confidence to look at a player who thinks that you're in service of them and be like, get bent. How about you fucking eat shit? And no, you get out of my table. Screw you, you know? So it's obviously an issue. It's obviously a complexity. See if you could videos about being a good player, but all of them have been like, be like Marisha and take lots of notes or something similar, which is a good point, but not the only thing a player should be doing. Yeah, I've seen similar sort of videos like that talk about like how to be a good player character. But you're right, none of them say things like, try and figure out what your kind of story your DM's trying to tell. Maybe your DM isn't like communicative enough to tell you that they're really trying to tell a Lord of the Rings story. And so when you're creating your character that's supposed to be a complete joke, maybe read the hint your DM wants a little more seriousness in the game. Or whatever. But that's like difficult. You know? It's really difficult to be a good player in D&D. You need to have a lot of social skills. And I think that a lot of people have the idea, fairly, in our community, because we're all awkward nerds, that D&D is a thing you use to build social skills. But maybe one of the hottest takes I've ever said on stream is that D&D is a game not to build social skills, but requires social skills. And sure, you can build social skills with your D&D game, but there's like a certain base level of a bar you have to jump over. Like Pather saying in YouTube chat, communication. You have to be able to communicate well to play D&D. Yes, you can build lots of social skills playing D&D. You can be more charismatic and outgoing and confident and all these things that you want to be in life and whatever, or who knows, or interesting or narrative or whatever, dog. But if you don't jump over the bar of being like relatable, communicative, empathetic, supportive, all that kind of stuff, if you don't jump over that bar to begin with, you're not going to have a good time. So, which is terrifying when you think about it. If you were an awkward nerd like me, then that is obviously a scary thing. It's the worst thing. Oh my god, I need to be in tune beforehand. Oh god.
Social skills in D&D equals beating people up.
Yes, that's why the barbarian class exists. Yep. Yep, thanks for the bits, Moose. Appreciate it. DM is another player that should be allowed to have fun too. Yeah. The DM is also the only player. The reason why I say that you as a player character should be in service to the DM story is because the DM is the only person with an idea of where the game's going to end. And so that's like the direction. The DM's pointing the direction, and you have to, like, as the player, take note of and like help the DM push the game in that direction. And if you want to play a character that goes in a different direction, then my suggestion is to create a character that wants to go in that same direction. You know, take the cool character that you have, the cool concept for Devil May Cry, whatever, that's going to go redeem himself and go kill fucking the god of death or whatever. Maybe save that character for another day and create a character that's going to help the DM push the story in the direction so that you are helping the DM have fun and you're also helping all the other players have fun. And in doing that, I feel like you end up having more fun yourself. But that's a wild take in the modern day, I think, on the internet. That one I know is unpopular. That one people get argumentative about sometimes, so... Yeah, silly moments and characters in serious campaign as long as everyone's still having fun. Sure, I think Lord of the Rings was hilarious. Like, I think that, like, Gimli and Legolas and Aragorn and the Hobbits and the Ents, I think they were all funny characters. But the problem is that their humor was based on like a rule of the world that made it hard to find how to be funny within that. It isn't the low-hanging fruit of like the D&D movie, which is like silliness, and silliness is fine, whatever, if that's what you want your D&D game. The game that I'm playing with Ashley Ulner and Ella and Vixie, I walked into that game expecting to play a very serious game, and the first interaction that like there was an NPC and Ulner and whatever, I was like, oh, this is a silly game. Okay, got it. This is a silly game. We're having fun. We're being silly. That's fine. And so if I'm trying to be the super serious character, whatever, that's not gonna fucking work. So change my character to be more in line with it, to be more of an anime trope that fits in the game, and hopefully the players like it. But Deadpool, as you said, Deadpool wouldn't work in Lord of the Rings, and so it doesn't mean that Lord of the Rings can't be funny. It's like it's harder to do. It's like really hard to do. So you know, the old NPC anxiety is most of the reason I'm playing support. I was kind of scared to outshine the players. No one will complain at getting buffed. So yeah, combat wise, I think that's totally fair for DMPCs. I don't ever have. Well, here's the thing. I don't usually ever have a NPC in my game, my Star Wars game, ever make a killing blow. Sometimes they'd roll damage because I'd have to balance the party. The players had this kind of thing where they kind of understood that they had to pick 3 people to go with them on every mission. So when they flew to a planet or whatever, and they got there like, oh yeah, we got to go to this temple or into the city or kill this crime boss, it was kind of like, Calypso, Sebek, Bors, you're with us. Yame, stay on the ship for whatever reason. The players are kind of in on it. The players are not like going to be min-maxing glasses adjusting. Well, if we just bring all 15 of our crew members, then we'll like... They kind of know the vibe, right? So they pick their characters that they want to come on a mission. They're like, oh, we know that this is gonna be a stealth mission, so let's bring Sebek and Calypso, and then like maybe Yame or whatever for support. And that's cool when they did that. And sometimes though, what I made sure is that I made sure that the players liked the NPCs so much that when they had their moment, the players were like there for it. You know, when Calypso jumps into the creature's mouth for the kill shot, and then the creature just like kind of gurgles up, and then there's a split right through his neck, and her vibro blade just carves all the way around, and there's just a spray of blood as this thing's face just melts off, and Calypso's standing there pushing the walls of its spine up against the, you know, the players like, holy shit, dude. Like, I made sure that it was cool and they were excited about that. Or like when I asked Elle what her favorite game was, like her favorite storyline in that, and she actually said the storyline of where one of the characters, Bors, goes back to his home planet to overthrow his older brother's sort of like, I don't know, pseudo political whatever overthrowing coup, right? And so I just narrate. I was sitting there at the end of the game for like an hour narrating this fight between Bors and Yandro. And like Ella's sitting there like crying her eyes out, and Dashto's like cheering for him on Discord and shit. They didn't want to participate in that. They didn't want their cool moment where Bors is like, huh, I think you should take the kill shot. No, they wanted to see him like beating his brother's face in and like slowly choking him out on the battlefield, whatever. And they're sitting there like crying because they know that finally Bors will be free from this whatever, and it's like the whole thing, you know. So I guess that if your NPCs are beloved enough by the players, then the players don't mind letting the NPCs shine once in a while because it's cool to watch. Like imagine Shadowheart going and killing some fucking dragon, you're like, holy shit, because you like Shadowheart, and so you want Shadowheart to sometimes kill the dragon or whatever, you know. Forrest, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. So I don't know, man, hard to do, I guess. But exactly, you realize your players like it that way. So role-playing is a way to practice social skills. Like anything else, everything needs practice. 100%. 100%. Yeah, man. I get it. Play the straight man in a group of goofs can be fun too. It can be, but that wasn't like the straight man needs to be in on the joke. And the way my character was very much not in on the joke. He was very much like a paladin compelled to duty in a way that he wouldn't associate with the goofs. And then you're not a straight man in a group of goofballs that you just don't fit, right? So the straight man has to be in on the joke a little bit. And so the character that I was playing wasn't like that. I thought we were playing serious D&D, we were bringing whatever. He wouldn't have worked that way. So he had to completely change to be kind of like the grog, the lovable kind of idiot, right? Where he's like, oh, start reciting fucking things in Latin, do some anime shit with his sword and whatever. And everyone's like, oh God, he's really getting it with his sword, man. You know, okay, those like evening meditations that Endrick has with his sword. We don't want to fucking keep those doors closed, right? So, so like, I don't know if like Ashy, Vixie, Ulner, if that D&D group would even like to play in a game that like is an Eldara, like serious Astral Knight story game. Just like how I know that Dashto wouldn't have enjoyed the kind of D&D game we're playing as a group on, like if I asked Dashto to come join my game with the fucking PNGs, he would hate it. It'd be funny though. And so it's a good time to like let your DM like sort of set the tone, and then you as the player to like then build your character that fits in with that or whatever. So is it Thursday? Oh, thank God. Oh God, okay, I just freaked out. I'm like, oh, my hands, I haven't done my stretches yet today. Wait, don't I have a physio appointment this week? It's not Thursday, then I missed that this morning, did I? Nope. Okay, good. All right. I just had a moment where I had to contemplate my life for a second there. I didn't do any of my stretches last stream, so I gotta be a lot better about that today. I can do my little cat paws things, my little whatever curls, my little band curls. I just noticed a twinge in my fingers that hurt that I haven't had since I got back from Expo. And suddenly my mortality was reminded. You know, it's like to be the designated driver of the party, but it's a vibe. You just have to be in on it. Exactly. Yeah, totally. Like I made a YouTube video this week about the disappointed party mom, which is kind of that, I think, you know. I used the art I did for Master Morale that we did last week as the base for the art, because she kind of looked disappointed. And I was like, why does she look like she's like judging me or like whatever? But it's kind of like she feels bad, but I'm still getting judged. She gave me disappointed party mom energy. So I made that video. Which is funny because I got a bunch of comments, people being like, bro, I play the disappointed party mom. I'm glad I had a lot of people that related to that. I'm glad people related to that. Like this image, you could easily trade the swords for lightsabers, you think? I don't know. I don't think Astronauts would like lightsabers. That's the store that brought me here. Oh, shoot, really pay there. Damn. All right, well, honored to have you, dude. A lot of the audio that I record from my process videos is just like silly nonsense, whatever, that I just find makes the recording process easier and more fun for me. But the whole point of the YouTube shorts I do and TikTok, whatever, like the videos that I do, okay, the reason I record my process is not so I can make funny little shorts on the internet. It's actually so that I can see my process and then like catalog it, right, in like little short time lapses. But it's like when I have a short time lapse, I can be like, oh, okay guys, I'm gonna design a character today. The character's name is Master Morale, and she's or I can just like talk about some stupid shit that I think is fun. So I'm glad people like it. I don't know, I just hit a big milestone on YouTube, 10,000 fucking subscribers. I'm underappreciating how many people that is, I think. And I can't believe that many people have seen my stupid little shorts and thought, oh, this is fun. Disappointed Party Mom is definitely my Dragonborn monk I had in the last 5e game I played. Yeah. Like, you could be doing better if you only applied yourself, but I still love you anyway kind of energy. It's the elf exemplar. Damn it. It's always them, isn't it? Always them. Every time. I'm almost done. I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here like doing my little wrist stretches. I know it's annoying. And I look like I'm doing cat paw shit, but this is actually really important. I'll have to take some time off in the next couple of weeks because I was approved for the injections I need to get in my arm and elbow that should help, that I didn't think I was going to have to get. And then all of a sudden the radiologist just shrugged and said, I don't know, and said we're going to try them. And we're like, thought you said I didn't need them. So I'll have to take some time off like in probably October, November. But I'm just going to be doing physio between now and then. And hopefully if the physio keeps helping, then I can just say no. I really don't want to inject another steroid into my arm. Like, as you get fucking older like me, there's like a budget your body can take of like corticosteroids before it starts being questionable. And I think I'm at that point. Or maybe if I'm not, I want to preserve it. So I need to be doing my physio stretches like during the middle of stream as much as I can. I work more than a half hour and I haven't done my stretches. I have to do my stretches, okay? I need a broom handle to do my other ones, my rolls. If I have something right here I could do that with. Yeah, well, whatever. All right. Back into it. Unless you always push the button. Oh, that kind of thing. I get it. Yeah. Glad you like the heat. That is a lot of orbs, isn't it, Samurai? I know, man. And the question, what age are the characters important NPCs you play usually? That's interesting, because I used to always like to play the like Luke Skywalker, like young. Like when you're a teenager, you always play someone who's older than you. You're like, oh, I'm 24, because it's like cool, whatever. And then you get in your 20s and you're like, oh shit, I want to play like an 18-year-old just finding his way in the world. But I actually like playing older characters now. So it depends on the NPCs. There's no if it's party NPCs with the group, there's no age really that I prefer. It's like I'll have characters of all kinds of, backgrounds and whatever, so the party feels more like a complete cast. But if I'm playing a game, I actually tend to like to play characters now, very rarely the chance I get to play, that are a little bit older. So like in our game that I'm playing with Ashy, Ulner, and Vixie, Endrick's like in his, and Endrick and Ella, like Ella's like in her like mid to late 30s and Endrick's in his early 40s. And I think it's funny because, or like, maybe when I'm in my 40s, I'll like want to play characters in their 30s. I don't know, but I find it hard to relate to the young buck, like the plucky Luke Skywalker, like 17-year-old, whatever. I find it hard to relate to that character now. Is that weird? I probably wouldn't play that kind of a character in a game if I like had an opportunity. I'd probably play like a slightly older character
At least someone in their like kind of mid-20s who's like had that grow up kind of like maturing moment. Like I have a really hard time relating to people that are like really young like that. I don't really have any friends that are young like that. Like I think like Faye and Illyria are like still in their early mid-20s. Those are probably the youngest friends that I like have. There's just something about like not being able to relate to somebody that hasn't like had to go through that. Because like when I was in my on the younger end of that, I had a hard time relating to people who were older. I don't know, maybe it's a natural sort of thing that happens, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just not giving it enough of an effort for being relatable to people, you know? It depends for me, it's always about what makes their story most interesting. I played teenagers to mid-30s and 40s and have ideas for even older ones, but just never picked them. That's fair. Return of the Jedi Luke versus Empire Luke. Yeah, maybe. That's interesting. You could say that there's like a character that I could like relate to or play is a character that would have already gone through something that would define them as having needed to take begin to take responsibility in life. The coming of age story is something that I don't really like relate to. But a character needing to like, I don't know, step into a role or whatever. Like the Aragorn more than the Frodo, maybe, you could say. Or the Boromir more than the Faramir or something. Well, that's a bad example. Because Faramir is pretty, yeah. I don't know. Interesting. But a 30-year-old also gives you more room for backstory and sensible explanation for being a heroic monster slayer. If you're starting a game then later on, then yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're starting like level 1, like starting town, there's something kind of nice about playing like a kid or whatever. Start developing the head to make sacrifice for the story and personality. Oh, interesting, huh? More life experience when a cruise, the easier it is to explore, imagine something you may not have gone through yourself. Yeah, like, you know, it's hard. Like it's kind of a dividing factor between like people who are like younger, who are like on the, you know, maybe this is, I'm thinking out loud. Okay, I'm not saying this is the way it is, but I'm just trying to form an idea here. I wonder if it's that like when you're young, you can't necessarily like really fathom having to sacrifice that much for something more important. Right? Like when it comes to like when I was really young, I didn't want to have like kids, for example. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have kids and I won't be able to play World of Warcraft all day and like go on trips and whatever and have to be responsible for people. But then I like started getting in my later 20s and starting to see people who were older who didn't have kids and how like bad that was for them. Like there was almost never a happy like 65-year-old that didn't have kids that I knew in my life personally. And I was like, fuck, maybe I should start thinking about this. Right? Or like when Ella got sick and I was like, I have to work like 3 times as hard to be able to support her now. There's like a certain sort of like a stepping into a mantle of responsibility that happens in life that everyone goes through, whether it's you go through school or you get married or you have kids or what, you go through like whatever challenge. Like if you have to sacrifice something to a greater good that you value and take on the challenge of doing that, that's like a defining sort of maturing, like there's a before and after of that point. And I have a hard time relating to characters and people that are like before that point, and I can easily relate to people that are like after that, where there's like, if you're trying to convince a character that sacrificing for something greater than them is an important and good thing to do, and the story is them trying to convince themselves or realize that, I have a hard time relating to that. But you take a character like my favorite character from Lord of the Rings, I think, is Theoden. Because Theoden goes through this moment of sort of like overcoming despair, right? And understanding. Like in Helm's Deep in the movie, it's a perfect example of Theoden's shift, right? Where he's sort of like, oh, it's all hopeless. The Hornburg is lost. We're all dead. It's over. You know, don't bother sending the women and children through the passageway. The Uruk-hai are too many. Like it's all over. We're done. And Aragorn's like, You got a responsibility to your people. You're gonna go out and meet them. And Theoden immediately he immediately says, when Aragorn says, like, Theoden's like, what do we do? And Aragorn's like, ride out and meet them. Theoden approaches that question with the immaturity that he sort of was kind of embodying, where he's like, oh yeah, for death and glory. And Aragorn's like, no, for Rohan, your people. That's why you're gonna go die. Not for glory, but for your people. And you see Bernard Hill, I think is that you see Bernard Hill do a really good job of Theoden's face changing, where he's like, fuck, man, you're right. Oh shit, you're right. What am I doing? And he pulls his shit together, right? And he announces that his Feldy's fucking, where's Theoden's sword? Where's Horgrove? Where is it? It's on the wall, man. Fucking Feldeed's awake, man. All right? Now is the time for wrath and for ruin. And go forth, Erelingus. So Theoden's story in that moment in Helm's Deep is the character remembering his responsibilities and his duties, not trying to decide whether or not it's worth it to have. He's not the 16-year-old trying to decide whether or not it's worth it to sacrifice for his people. He's the king who's forgotten the mantle of leadership that was placed upon him, remembering his courage, right? Even Aragorn or somebody, Gandalf says, I think it was Gandalf, that you might remember your courage if you gripped your sword. You see him grab the pommel and he pulls the sword out, and you think in Two Towers, in that moment where he comes back from Saruman's curse, that he's back, but even then he's not, right? And so that's why I loved Theoden in Return of the King so much, because in Two Towers, the character resolves that he is, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then in Return of the King, at the beginning of the movie, Gondor lights the beacons. And I know it's slightly different in the books. Gondor lights the beacons. Aragorn tells him the beacons are lit, and Theoden doesn't need to be told what to do. He doesn't need to be reminded. He just looks around. Everybody's looking at him like, what are we going to do? And he's like, fucking ride to Gondor. That's what we're going to do. And so in the end, then, he's challenged at the Battle of Pelennor Field, where upon dawn he rides to it and he sees the army of darkness. He sees the orcs, the enemy of mankind, lining in mass in an army that has never been seen in Middle Earth. And he has to, you know, like, what do you do? And at that point in time, there isn't a faltering of courage. He doesn't need someone to remind him what to do. He's like, this is what we're gonna do. And so that's kind of a character development that I think is really interesting. I would have a hard time playing a character that isn't convinced that it's like worth it to, like, you know, to be that here the heroics are not necessarily self-evident. That's why I have a hard time playing the, like, you know, the Luke Skywalker 16-year-old, the I guess, as Atari said, the Empire Strikes Back. I'm more thinking the New Hope Luke versus the Return of the Jedi Luke. So that's why I like Theoden, man. There's like, I really think it'd be cool to get like that was one of my grandpa's favorite lines in the book.
Scared to death and riding on any ways.
There you go, man. You know, he tells in the book he tells somebody else. I think it might be Éomer, but he tells in the movie, I think it's Grimble. The line is "Forth now and fear no darkness," and I remember my grandpa really liked that line. I don't remember why, but I remember seeing it in like a notebook. My grandpa was a big Lord of the Rings fan before he died. Never got to see the movies, but I was like, man, I like that, man. You know, it's like a reminder. So anyway, I think that character's cool. So just describe the Paladin arc. Yeah. The duty bound. The heroic deed or whatever. I think those are cool stories. So when I do my Paladin game, There's some intentionality behind the Paladin game when I said that like the adventure I'm writing is it's going to be intended that none of the players survive. And I think that if everyone knows that from the beginning, that they can really then embrace that story and that archetype. I think it'd be fun. Everyone I talked to at the on the weekend at the convention that I told about the Paladin game, when they asked me about like future adventures and stuff, really liked the idea of it. They really thought it was cool, which was kind of neat. So I don't know, man. A lot of Old Ruin for sure. For some reason, don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's just relatability or something. Yeah. I don't know, Pather. That's interesting. That's fun with the horn sound for my game. I found an isolated clip of the horn. Put it in Audacity and shifted and tripled it into major chords. Well, that's cool. That's actually rad, dude. That's kind of rad. Yeah, the horns in Lord of the Rings are one of those things that were okay, sort of like the suspension of disbelief, that like you make the horns sound a lot more heroic than they actually are. No one really has a problem with that. Then you have the glasses adjusting like HEMA nerds being like, actually medieval horns didn't sound like that. That is in fact a French horn. I'm like, shut up, nerd. Shut up. Shut up. In my fantasy game, when you sound the horn of the Growlhammer, it is mighty and heroic, nerd. God, I actually started writing the adventure in Edmonton. I've been writing on my phone late at night. I started writing the creation myth for Eldara, which was really fun. I'm hoping that I can do something kind of cool with that. Hopefully people like it. I just don't know where I'm gonna like have like a cosmology thing for the realms, at least at this point in time in the story. I don't think it'd be needed or anything. I'll find time inspiration to put little things like that in my game. Also found a bunch of free bone cracking and flesh ripping sounds. Oh shit, dude. Wait, that's kind of sick though. How about growing to be more dragon-like? Oh shit. Yeah, it's one thing that I wish that I could do for a Twitch game, like D&D games. That like when I played the one with the fishy on Twitch, I wish I could use more music and sound effects, but obviously streaming with like a lot of music is tough. In my personal game, I use a ton of music whenever I have, you know, the opportunity to. And like MMOs and whatever else. Okay. Gauntlets. Oh, you know what? Fuck, what's that word for an elbow guard again? Oh, there we go. How does this fit around his arm in this way? That's how. It just straps in, so this piece is loose metal, basically. Sitting over top of the actual plate. Going to be kind of sharp here. We need a couple of different plates here, I think. So it needs to sort of... For this one, let's do a couple of different plates at the bottom wrist kind of joint, and then one larger one goes at the top. Astronauts are all going to have a similar sort of kind of like more gothic gauntlet style, and Sabaton, whatever. But in the end, it's all going to be individual pieces of armor. It's just, it needs to have a visual sort of style that all looks consistent for all the astronauts. When the stage class beta happening? No idea, to be honest. Probably not for at least a couple of weeks. I don't have a start date for it. We'll see if chat's good. No, I don't know exactly. Don't have 100% yet on it. Probably go further down, I think. This is just a base sketch, so I don't need to be completely correct. I just want it to feel more in line with how it actually is going to look when I'm ready to render. God, it's been too long on these fucking sketches, dude. And then do like 2 plates on the actual hand. Lots of rivets and studs in these will be important there. Breaks for individually articulated fingers. Part of their like armor is going to be like extremely well made armor, so everything is going to be very high end, very well articulated, very like form fit. They basically need to have like the best looking medieval armor that anyone in the world has. It's like modern day kind of like looks at like royal whatever Byzantine armor and shit that they wore kind of more ceremonially. Somewhere around there. And then all the like fancy filigree and shit you expect. I don't have a ton of like pieces like this either, with like a full astronaut armor shown. It's always like a small piece here or there. Maybe I'll need a couple more of these rather than just the one. Yeah, that works. It's actually kind of clean, if you ask me. Big, like, elbow and sort of, like, knee guards are going to be an important thing for the silhouette of Astronauts. We'll see if players catch on to that and are properly art-directed for their own Astronauts. That or no one's ever going to play their own Astronaut. That might also happen. But I have to, like... I have to assume. Somebody like actually brought that up at the convention, and I didn't really have a great answer for it. I was like talking about how I want to create these like these things or whatever classes and like, you know, the lore behind it and whatever. And people were talking about visual styles. They're asking about somebody asking about like a something to do with like the lore. They're like, oh well, why do you expect anyone to want to play the lore? Like, why does that matter? And I was like, well, people want to play like a sort of a canonical, like Eldar, like canon-friendly story. And fair enough, the guy said, oh, isn't that more for things like Lord of the Rings or like established things as opposed to like indie projects? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I just have to like, I have to design it with the assumption that people are going to think it's worthwhile to do. And, you know, to be fair, he was like, okay, fair enough, dude. Like, you know, like, good luck kind of thing. Whatever, see you later. Wasn't rude or anything, but just posed the question. Like, yeah, I guess I do need to like really consider that it's worthwhile that somebody out there is going to think like, yeah, I want to play like a canonical whatever version of the game and then like do so, you know? Feel that recent video Adam Savage did on tested where they got into trying some modern made real high quality. Oh yeah, the armor. So I haven't seen the whole video, but I saw the suit of armor and on like somebody sent it to me on stream one day. Show me like the way that the gauntlet or something or the helmet articulated or whatever. So I saw that, yeah, but that's the same kind of vibe, like kind of with with no expense spared armor. That's the way I want their armor to feel like. Their order is so important that they have like all the resources available to them they could possibly ever need. So if they want the fanciest whatever armor out there, like they can afford it, they can get it, they can do it. If anyone can do it, it's them. And there are going to be like obviously knights and orders and paladins that have access to that kind of fancier armor or whatever, or better smithing or whatever, but the knights really need to feel like there's no expense spared on their protective armor and their ceremonial plates. You like with the knight, I'm trying to sell this a fantasy of like you are kind of an absolute elite, like kind of heroic figure. Like the amount of knights that don't make it through Ascension and like die during the process, like you are chosen basically if you're playing an Astral Knight. Chosen by whatever, I don't know, but you're something special. So like lots of almost like jeweled facets in their armor is also going to be important. They're going to be more, I think, lent to painting than anything else for the armor, but whatever. I'll have to like learn to sketch it well too. Maybe I should just do a bunch of historical like gauntlets and stuff like that, studies, and then build a kind of armory visual library for the knight. Really have a good idea on how to like communicate those ideas. Well, Wild Things News, the armor, like that would cost equivalent of $1 to $10 million. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that what is it? Like the average sort of knight's armor would be the equivalent of like a house, like a couple $100,000 in today's age. Like just like basic knight's armor, not like the stuff you put on your soldiers into battle in the feudal era, but like a knight's armor, jousting or otherwise, would be like same cost as like a house basically back then. Today. And so like that, yeah, exactly, like that elite armor would have to be the like sell the idea that like this would cost you millions of dollars today to get this armor made. It would be absolute elite, like the best of the best. There's nothing better than this out there. Like Royal Guard level, you know. Money is not an object here for our knights. A paper armor? Paper armor. I don't know. Never really thought about paper armor. I love paladins in shining armor, but I also love the paladin knights that roam around in the heavy, dull, gray-black armor. Yeah. A little grungier, a little more lived in or worn or whatever, hey? I feel that. The Astari are somewhere in the middle. They are kind of dark and broody, I will admit. They're very, like, the way that I always describe the Astral Knights, the Astari, is that they're extremely intense. They're just very, very intense. They don't mess around. They don't, like... They're not very aloof. They're not sort of easily shaken. They're not distractible. They're just very, very intense. Doesn't mean they're assholes or completely humorless or whatever. Just when they're focused, they're absolutely focused. Nothing beats plot armor, yeah. Well, all my character sketches come with free plot armor. That's right. People request character sketches from me, they get free plot armor. Holy, can you imagine? Do I want to just rip this sword out for now? Let's just rip this one. We'll make a new one, obviously, for our character, for our boy. Let's just rip this for now. For the under sketch, which is all we're doing right now. Just use that as a base. Cool. Easy. We'll give him a new sword later, but... Sure, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Okay. I think we might not give her, because so the knights, the breastplate's kind of optional. It's all a preference for that one. Also the amount of leg armor. So I think we'll showcase two different sort of styles where she has much more armor on her legs and more comprehensive, maybe even on her arms. We'll show it coming up above her cape. But for him, he's going to be more of the kind of the breastplate body armor type thing. We'll hopefully paint different vibes here for our knights. I wonder if the ramparted like capes are something that would be kind of, that would fit. It feels too like classic, like European knight to do something like that. So it's not what we're going for. Going for a bit of a mix between like a monk, like a classic D&D monk and paladin, and then also a fighter. Need a reference here for our cloak. Cloth draping references. Spend more time on it when we're actually doing the thing, but for right now, it's kind of hanging behind. Oh, you know what? Then it might... Let's do this. Okay. And then we can kind of have it. That's good enough for now. Apply, there's a lot more fabric there that's bunched up on the back. And then our whatever the wrapping is here around his waist, the coat that he's wearing. Kind of angry something you learned recently? Don't be angry, bro. You gotta let it go, you know? There's no use in being angry. Take a breath. It's not worth it. Whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's not worth you worrying about. It's my mantra for the world. That's why I don't watch the fucking news, you know? Do astronauts get to ride astral horses? No, they don't really ride any kind of like a... They don't have like a steed or anything. They're mostly like supposed to be... Like, they'll make use of local transportation, whatever it is. And if they have to go somewhere, they'll have like horses and stuff that they can ride. There's like a stable and whatnot in the order hall. But for the most part, astronauts are they're kind of like a special forces. They just have they kind of like drop into places and will do whatever they have to do in the confines of whatever environment they're in. So if they need to fucking dog sled or get skyships or whatever, they'll find a way wherever they're trying to go, no matter what. They're not supposed to have like a large identity of... Like, the silhouette of an astral knight is something along the lines of a cloaked knight wandering through a city or something. Or through runes. They're wanderers, explorers, dungeon delvers, I don't know, man. Something along those lines. Definitely the first astral knights that I sort of like started doing a painting for, that I really wish Ella like would let me finish this piece, because she isn't preventing me, but she doesn't really want to play this character anymore because it was like for the game. But I really wanted to like actually paint this piece out of like the two of them walking through the marketplace. And I might still do it. You know what I might do? I might redo them to have, instead of like Ella or Charlotte and Embra, I might redo it as what's her name? Alicia and Eve. But I might keep the same kind of aesthetic of them, like just cloaked figures, dark, some bluish glow coming from them, blue glowing eyes, wandering through this market or whatever. Like, just kind of like people wouldn't really like know what their whole deal is. They just look like kind of mysterious, weird, glowy knights or some shit. So, can astronauts still ride horses? It seems like it would take a while to walk anywhere. Yeah, they can do whatever they want, you know, to get wherever they're trying to go. Yeah, it's all good. It's just they don't have like an identity of like the paladins and their steeds or whatever. They don't form like bonds with horses. They're not like the Aldarians or whatever that have their like wyverns or whatever you want to call them. They don't have anything like that. That's a very strong sort of like part of who they are. They just do what they gotta do to get where they gotta go. Armor's also going to be very dark, I think. What did I do for Alicia? Hold on. What's her armor look like? It was more ornate than that, I think, right? But I only did a little bit of it. I only did like, yeah, there's only like a little smidge of it. Oh, a dagger. Ooh, I should. Huh. What if I should standardize the daggers, or if that's just an Alicia Greymore thing? Ooh, okay, I don't know now. No, I don't know. Is my horse's name is Snowball? Really? Market Scene reminds me of a bit I've actually written. Oh, cool, dude. Market Wandering Knights. The Astrolite class is like, I really kind of regret in some ways making a class for it. I made the class for Ella, but I'm worried that the class like doesn't fit a lot of gameplay things for like regular D&D. I mean, we'll see. Like, I didn't have it ready for the convention. I really wanted to have them for like printed out versions of the class for Edmonton Expo for people who wanted to play it. But I have a vision for my print store where what I want to do is, that's so funny that the fucking link just popped up on the automated timer. That's actually hilarious. I really want to have a section here. So it says like print stickers, whatever. I really want to have like Realms of Eldara content or whatever, where I have like little booklets and shit that I can do. So that you can click it and like go buy the Astral Knight or whatever, go buy the something or another, whatever it is, you know, and have that like have that there, right? There's this whole like you can buy the Sage class booklet for $10, the Astral Knight booklet for $10, the Adventure for whatever. Obviously, all this is going to be like available for free online. It's digital, but like have like a physical printed section of it. So. What news do you bring from the paint realms? Which paint realms? Which fucking paint realms? They're all the diseased lands of me sketching because I'm not a good enough artist to paint. Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know. The only news I have, Ashy, is actually some pretty big news. But check it out. Not sure if you saw this, but I got my first prints done for the did you see this actually yesterday? I got my first prints done for the series. So the series is up. I think I'm gonna have it go live at 10 a.m. on Friday, like when my stream starts. I'm gonna have this go on the print store, the first editions, the 1 to 10. I think they're gonna go live this Friday. So actually, to be honest, Ashley, I'm very excited. There's like not most of it's like Who Asked Paint Realms news, but like for me, I'm actually very, very excited about this. So I gotta trim the print up and whatever. God, man, I'm just so excited, dude. I should really be printing right now, but I'm afraid that you'll be able to hear it on stream. I need to print, so I think I've printed 3 of these. So I have a test print and 2 artist proofs, and then I need to print 10 more of the actual series. And who knows if people will actually want them, you know? Who knows? Because they're going to be a bit more expensive than the normal prints, because they're big boys. They take almost an hour to print, hey? They take 45 minutes to 50 minutes around there to print a full one of those. It's insane, dude. With the highest settings on my printer checked, that thing goes into the tank on it. Like it's LARPing as like a real printer. Are we getting shatter foil or reverse hollow for that print? So this is something that actually, interestingly enough, I talked to a group of artists before the convention started on Sunday. It was very good. I'm very glad I got to be sort of part of that conversation because they're all just sort of like talking business. They see each other at every other convention. These were the big artists at the convention. And I got to like peepo sit my way into that conversation, pretend like a real artist. They accepted me when they saw my Instagram follow count. And I was like able to ask them questions, and I was like, yeah, man, those foil prints you got, they look really cool. Like, where did you get your foil prints done, guys? They all get their foil prints done from the same place. So now I know where to get foil prints done. I can't print them myself, but I could get them done. The only problem is to get prints with like a foil, like imagine that you get a print done where like the swords are glowing blue or whatever, and like the like spot foil prints. The thing is, that company needs to make a print plate just for that print. And so one of the artists that I was talking to, Chasing Artwork, Justin, he does like a lot of like cool, like level design, fantasy art, really dope, really dope dude. There's Instagram. Super nice, super generous with his time. He does like a lot of isometric level design stuff like this for stuff, but he also does like a lot of like his own kind of like Gundam work and whatnot and fan art and cool shit. But anyway, I wonder if I can find one of his foil prints. He said that the only way it's worth it to order foil prints is in the quantities of over 500. I also asked him about pins because a bunch of artists do cool pins and I really want to do enamel pins for Eldara. But like one of the artists that I talked to, Sabtastic, she's a local artist that's really cool. She says she spends between 8,000 and 10,000 on pins once a year on a massive order. I was like, fuck. So foil prints, pins, anything cool like this, I don't know when it'll happen because I apparently need to do some like massive orders. And I don't think I could, like if I ordered 50 pins, I don't know if I'd sell more than like 20 of them. Because, right? Like, fuck, man. So you meme about foil prints, but I actually have the insight now. I have the connections. I have the places. I have the ins now. I know where to go. I have emails. So I could get foil prints done, but what I need to have happen first is I need to have pre-orders done for them. Then I need to probably have at least 300 or 400 of them pre-ordered. And I think if I did pre-orders on my print store, I could maybe get like 12. Maybe 12? I don't know. We can see, you know? Hey. I don't know, dude. That'd be a lot, wouldn't it? Like Vogue Race, you don't need that many at once. Vogue Race for pins you do. So Vogue Race is likely where I'm going to do my pins. And Vogue Race, I think the minimum quantity for enamel pin was 50. I think the enamel pins that I'd want to do... Fuck. Enamel. Hard enamel. Where's the ones that I want to do? The glitter enamel. So I'd want to do a 2-inch pin. Or actually, yeah, I want to do 2-inch pin. I'd want I could do between 1 and 8 artworks. I'd want hard enamel, gold back, no back stamp, glitter. For let's do, I think probably I could make it work with one color. And the backs, I would do the butterfly clutch, and I'd have, let's just say I want to do 3 different designs of them, and it has to be greater than or equal to 50. So I'd have to do 50 of each. Add to cart work. And that's gonna be $1,000 order US. So, you know, that's like the problem with it. Like, would I sell them at Makers? I'd probably sell them at Makers, which is where Ella's store is. I could probably sell them a couple of my print store, which is cool here and there, maybe. I could probably sell them at conventions now and then. Ella does a lot more markets. But even then, like, pins sell standard for $15 Canadian, US, I don't know, $12 or whatever. This is US. Like, it's a big investment. Now, to be fair, I want to make those investments because every time I have had a chance to invest in something for what I'm doing, like the printer. Do you know how scared I was to buy this printer for $2,500? It was $3,000 after the ink. So spend $3,000 print. You know how scared I was to spend $3,000 on a printer? I was fucking petrified. And I'm still scared. And so if this print series doesn't go well and people don't want the limited edition sort of larger prints that I can do with this printer, then I'm kind of fucked in a way. But that's okay, because the risk I'm willing to take on, and it will pay for itself eventually and whatever. But so I want to do that. It's just like, yeah, you need to have like a lot up front to be able to do something like that, and then it's possible. So pleasure being talking D&D and stuff. Got to go to the laundromat now, dude. Garvin, thank you for chilling. It was an honor to have you, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you around, dude. Loki Sakes, then when are we getting an Uwu Market Eldara shaker? Oh god. Oh god, wait. Hold on. Hold on. Is Vixie live? She is. One sec. I need to ask her. Hold on.
Next week, so because tomorrow I have a collab.
Vixie,
I'm
help.
gonna finish these readings and then we will get into some Yu-Gi-Oh here.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. How
Does it need another?
do I
review?
need to
Help? Wait,
make
Evan, what do you need?
my
What's up? Hi, Evan. How are you doing
shitty
today?
VTuber
Help with what? I'm here to help.
before I can get
Your
into
resident VTuber is here to
Uwu
help
Market.
the artist. What do you need, Evan? Hi, Evan. How are you doing?
Hi,
How
Vixie.
relevant do I need to make my shitty VTuber before I can get into Uwu Market? So you can pay to get an art package, and since you already do your own artwork, you can get one of the cheaper art packages to get in. I can send you a link.
Can
But then to
I
actually like,
still
become partnered
get
with them, you need
in?
to sell a certain amount of merch. So it depends on how much merch you can sell, Evan. That's up to you. That's up to you and your community. You gotta figure that out. If you legitimately want me to know, just or want to know, I can DM you the link. Can I still get into it? Get a shaker for PE with like 10 viewers? Oh, it has nothing to do with viewership. Has nothing to do with viewership. It's more about product sales than anything, so you just gotta prove that. Oh, thank God. Yeah, don't worry. This is not the... You have to be partnered and get an average of 50 plus viewers to get in. They just want to make sure that people actually like your products. You're welcome. You're welcome, you and your Naifu. Hope you're having a good day today, Evan.
Wait. Okay.
Right, where was I? Oh, yeah. Spiggity.
Right.
So you're...
Okay, so that's Vixie. Vixie says that I can get a shaker Ashy for well now. So yeah, do you want a Project Evangeline shaker? Twill shaker? Okay, let's not. Dude, should I do just like horrendously attractive Twill waifu naifu fan art? Oh god, do I just ruin my reputation on Twitter? Hey Vale, what's up, dude? Challenge is more likely to storage the quantities you probably have to order at one time if you want to keep them nice. For the prints, yes. The prints, so what I'm doing for each print, Steve, is I am going to be packaging my prints up as they finish. I'm going to be rolling them up. So they're going to be stored in roll tubes. So yes, I'm going to the place where we get our supplies for conventions, events, retail, whatever. There's a local place like that in Calgary. Ellen and I are driving in. We're buying like 15, 20 poster tubes. I'm going to finish making my print series. I'm going to inspect them all, sign them all, whatever. And then I'm going to roll them up in the tubes and properly package them in between paper, in a bag. Like good to send, basically mail out. And then I don't have to worry about it like being safe or whatever. And then hopefully I don't have to hang on to those poster tubes forever. Oh, and I guess there's no case where somebody would want more than one print, would they? No one would order ever like two of the same print. So yeah, so I can just package them individually now. And I can't roll any other pieces. So it's not like I could ever combine shipping. If you bought a big thing and then you bought a small thing, I'd have to like put them in different boxes. So that's not an issue. So yeah, storage is annoying, but more of the stuff you're not printing yourself. Oh, you mean like pins and stuff? Okay. Yeah, so that's something that Ella and I already have to deal with because like going to the convention, when we were at Expo, you will see that where's Blackwood Dice? You will see that there is stuff that's not available in my print store yet. So I have an entire line of bookmarks. Oh, wait. Shouldn't even show the whole thing. Fucking hell, Hella. Okay, this will work. So on the back of this sort of rotator thingy, whatever, I have keychains that I got ordered from Vograce that are all a bunch of different Eldar weapons, which are really cool. Those aren't available in my print store. All these bookmarks, these aren't available in my print store either yet. So all of Ella's dice, like all this product that she has as makers, like we already have to store a bunch of physical product, whether it is stickers and things that I make, whether it's bookmarks or actual dice and keychains and dice sets that she makes. Like it's already a bit of an issue, to be honest. So that's totally fine. If it's just things like enamel, like the only thing that I wouldn't ever want to store myself is like if I do any kind of merch that are like hats, shirts. Like I'm actually gonna be in the couple of weeks updating the merch store.
Visitors,
yo, Cyrene.
exciting.
Holy shit, bro. Cyrene, good to see you. Guys, if you are not following Cyrene yet on Twitch, you definitely should. It's an amazing artist, really cool streams, does some dope work, and I highly recommend to follow over there. Welcome everybody from the stream. We're just talking about merch and dumb things and the convention that I just did and all that. So what's up? The store is getting a touch dated. Which one? My merch store? Like my print store, you mean? Or wait, which one? Because yeah, sorry, the merch stuff, I haven't had a merch store available for Dragon's Claim sort of stuff and Blackwood Dice stuff. We used to have the print store. Yes, of course. That is, so the thing is, Steve, that is my fault because Ella said that she would do all the updates and stuff, but I have not wanted to ask her to do that because Ella said, hey, I will take care of the store for you, Evan. Whatever. And I said, sure. So I didn't learn how to do any of it. I have no idea how my Shopify works or anything like that, how my store works. But I refuse to let Ella keeps offering, but I've refused to let her do anything until after Edmonton Expo. So last weekend. So she's offered in the last couple of weeks or months to do updates for stuff, but Ella has been staying up. No shit. Ella has been working all day, every day, almost every single waking hour for like probably most of the summer. From April to now, she has been burning every engine she has to get through convention seasons and keep up with like demand and orders and things like that. And so I have told her that I do not want her touching my store or working anything for me and my sake until after Edmonton Expo when she can actually take a breather. So this week she's still working and doing stuff. Obviously she's got an event in 2 weeks and this another event and whatever, but nothing like a giant convention. So she is, I have requested her help, but it has been my fault because I have refused to let her do anything for my print store, even though she's offered to do stuff in the last couple of months because I just don't want to add to the amount of work that she has to do. So, but yeah, all that stuff should be up on the print store soon. The update, Friday at 10 a.m. I think is when a bunch of new stuff is going to go live, the limited edition stuff. But in between now and then, everything like the bookmarks and whatever should get on there. Ella said she needs to do like some product shots and whatnot for them, which is cool. But yeah, so like storing things like pins or whatever wouldn't be an issue even the slightest because like I said, we already store all of her dice product and all of that kind of stuff. 50 pins or buying 100 or so pins, they all have like, they're all pretty flat, they kind of stack. That wouldn't be that stressful for me. I wouldn't be too bothered about it. So yeah, it's just the problem is like I would need to do like, maybe I could do one Eldara pin at a time or something, you know? I don't know. Like how much would one pin be? One pin design. If I did like a starting Realms of Eldara pin that's like a Dragon's Claim pin, I could do like I could sort of like have a vote in Discord for what people want to see. You know? How much would that be for one pin order? Enamel pins. And I'm not compromising on the quality for them. So I'm not doing, I could do, so we could do an inch and a half pins maybe. How big is that? Inch and a half would be fine. Hard enamel, gold back, no stamp, glitter on 1, butterfly with 1 design, and get 50 pins. How much would that be? I could take like, I could do like a, see what people like. So that would only be $200 for that. So for one, it is very, I guess the 1.5 versus 2, it does make a big difference. Huh. I could do that, actually. So maybe we'll figure out if we want to do like a Dragon's Claim or a Realms of Eldara or something style pin. You know? You know, man? Okay, hold on. Remove that. Kill that. Yeah. Could do like a Dragon's Claim guild pin or something and see what people think. I don't know, dog. $20 material cost each. Much cheaper than the 1,000. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Making it a little bit smaller did definitely help. I wasn't working too hard, but I'm just adding to the pile. No, man, the enthusiasm's good. It keeps the motivation flowing, so I appreciate it. But I should be absolutely chastised for not having my print store updated yet. I should absolutely be, you know, viewed as the villain for that. So that's fair enough. Thank you, Lurkazale. I appreciate that. Okay. Astronites. Yeah, God, I'm just really nervous about the like limited run. See if I don't know, like people, it's the kind of thing that people can say in theory that it's like cool or whatever, but it's like, do they actually like think it's cool enough? Like maybe what I should do is I should do my limited run as a dragon. The reason why I want to do the Realms of Eldara title piece, the Gates of Eldara or the Eldari Ruins of Navalia, as the main sort of like the first one is because it's kind of the most important. So I will do limited runs of dragon pieces and whatever in the large format, but I really, really want to do a limited run of the Realms of Eldara piece first, because yeah, to me it's the most important one, and like from a sentimental meaning, whatever full thing. I know it might not be the most popular piece I have. It's one of, but it's not the most popular piece. But I think that it's important that I do that one for myself, my own whatever stupid artistness. Good to see you, Silesian. I do not have your print store up to date when you have 100 things to do on your plate. Well, yeah. I'm trying to condense and finish everything that I need to finish and get everything going. Like it's so whatever. I almost started complaining about having too many things to do. No, it's a great problem. I have a lot on my plate, but I don't want, like, I want everything to be good. I want the adventure to be good. I want the class to be good. I want like the requests that I'm taking to be good. Like I do want to kind of try and do everything and manage all of it so that I'm not letting anyone down. But I recognize that if I have to like make everything take longer to release, that's a problem. So I'm sorry that I'm not managing it as well as maybe I could. And I will continue to try and do better. And I think I am. I think I'm about there. I think I'm almost good. If I can get like the Adventure Horizon out and published, then the other things, the classes, whatever, all the world building, the player options, all that will be a whole lot easier. So you still have full body illustration here today. Is this for Eldara, Quincy? This is for Eldara. This is more Astronite stuff. So I want this to be like on the page for the Astronite. I want to have like, imagine like you have like spells and stuff. I want to have a couple of larger illustrations on the page. That I can sort of have that like sort of helps paint a picture of what the Astronites are all about. You know? That I can have just kind of like on there or whatever. You know? So I'm trying to do a couple little sketches of that, of like full Astronites doing their Astronite thing, that I can just sort of like place here and there around the layout. So That's what we're doing. We're not doing full paintings or whatever, just like quicker sketches for them. So, why is my... Okay, never mind. There we go. It is still recording. Wait, when did it stop recording? What the fuck? Record. What the hell? What the hell, man? All right, whatever. Guess I'll have to rip part of this from the VOD if I lost too much of it. I know that like if I'm counting on conventions and stuff for like things like pins, things that I want to do, I'm gonna have a worse time at it if I don't do things that are like IP, like fan art basically. I know that's gonna be something that impacts me. I'm gonna sell a lot less pins, just like I sell a lot less prints at conventions, if it's not something from people, something that people know. Unless I do dragon pins. Wait, hold on. Wait, what if I did dragon pins? Would that be awesome? Oh my god. Wait, hold up. Hold up. We might have an idea here. We might have a suspicion. Pens or pins? We're talking pins. We're talking pins. Cobalt, do you have an interest in scissors? Because I went deep on trying to find a good pair of scissors. And I bought a $30 pair of scissors for my printer. But I found them on a recommended article on jet pens. I didn't realize that the pens enthusiasts and the scissor enthusiasts lined up together. I don't know if this is a thing. It was like a part of the community I wasn't aware of. My man needs more jaw. There we go. We've increased the amount of jaw he has. And he's better for it. Clean cuts, no hang up. Wait, what? They are good. I bought some Japanese scissors from Sakai or whatever, I don't remember. So there's going to be multiple shipments to get caught up on my loot bag anyway, so the tube can be separate. Yeah, the tube has to be separate, unfortunately. The print tube. I should really be printing one. Hold on. Let me just turn my printer on. Let me turn my printer on. Real quick. That's what I should start. I should be printing them because they take so long to do each one. I think it's set up. Um, 333 roll paper, user defined 17 by 30, borderless, ultra smooth, fine. Photoshop handles wait, what's the color setting? Adobe RGB. Why do you keep resetting this shit, bro? Always Adobe RGB. Never anything but Adobe RGB. Alright. We're printing. This might be number 1 that I'm printing, actually, right here. This may just be print number 1. If it's successful. If it's not successful, then it'll have to be an artist proof. Or a test print, one of the two. Oh. Wait, why are we mad? Oh, you didn't know you're not. She thought paper was out. She thought paper was out. Never asked me to reload the paper. This is new. I want to see here at the end of the stream if it's gonna be loud on stream, because I want to know. So I'm not testing it until the end of stream today, because I want to know if it's gonna be a problem. If you guys can actually hear it when it starts printing. Because I really hope I can print while I'm streaming. Would it be cool if I like could print while I'm streaming, and if somebody ordered a print on the print store, I could literally make it right there and there? Wouldn't that be fucking rad, dude? Like, I don't know why. There's something extremely satisfying about being able to make my prints right beside me. Yeah, I could do the print cam or whatever. Why are we not entirely sure if it's going to start printing? Maybe okay. Yo, Takiso, thank you for the follow. I think it's good. Oh, it is good. Hey. Let's go, dude. All right, sick. Sick. You already print something the first day? Did I? Really? I thought it was like a small... Well, okay, so I guess, can you guys hear the printer, like, when I'm talking? Because, like, if I'm not talking, my microphone won't pick it up, because there's a noise, like floor, gate, whatever on it. But if I'm talking, it'll pick up other things around me. So can you hear any background noise of it printing right now? The fucking little... I mean, it's quiet, which is nice, quieter than my old printer. But as long as it's not, like, loud enough to come off on stream, then it's probably fine. If any, barely at all. Huh. Hopefully if my music is actually playing, then it like kind of covers it up if there is anything on there. Not hearing it over the mush. Oh, okay, great. Cool. Right on. So I can print while I'm streaming. Alright. Oh, that's right, because yeah, no, you're right. I did have it on because I was seeing how long the print took. We timed it. Oh yeah, yep. Now I remember. Now I remember, Cass. Yep. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yep. Look, it's been a long week. Okay. I'm forgetful of the previous events. You'll have to give me a pass on it, alright? I'm doing my best. It's not that good, but I'll admit. But it's still the best I got right now. Okay. So yeah, our man here is only going to have the boots showing. He's not going to have his leg plates out, but he will have his breastplate showing, and she's going to have the reverse. She's going to have the more in-depth leg armor, and then also just the sort of folded thing that Alicia has, tunic or whatever. Then I could do like a third one, like have the knights going through like a cavern or whatever. But there's something about the duo of Astronauts. I think I really want to have the knights like... It'd be kind of cool if there's someone in the background. Yes, you know? Kind of like watching their back, hey? But as cool as that is, I think that astronauts I want to show in pairs, because that's often how it will work. You'll have your knight and then your squire. Only here if it's doing something jarring, like printhead quickly moving or loading paper. Okay. Great, because that's like a 45-minute print, so. Yeah. Okay, well, I want to test that at the end of stream regardless, so cool. Anyway, gotta bounce. Gotta do some things. Still in kind of like panic cleanup mode. I gotta go to the store and restock for Ella today at Makers. So, because apparently people are buying her dice, man, and that's great. But now I gotta go and help her out while she's out doing something else, getting supplies for us. So that is all for today, I think. Weird, the League of Legends music still didn't work today, hey? It works in the intro, but not in the main. I don't know. Is the outro gonna work? Well, there you go. Is that you're in a flash past? How's the final sizing going for? Wait, for what? Wait, I think I had a brain stutter there for a second. Did you come in stream earlier? I'm sorry. I will resume streaming my regular like kind of 5-6 hour streams. Hopefully later this week or early next week or so. So I'm sorry. Oh, I want to skip the third down one. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I still don't know if I want to do a third. Because, like, there's something iconic about the duo. Like this one. Fuck. I don't know yet, man. I don't know, dude. Okay, cool. Yes, so I gotta go to the store and go do restock for Ella, and then I gotta come home and do some prints and whatnot, and then ideally the Eldara piece, that one right there on Ella's monitor, that, oh, referring to you. I did it last night, so I'm gonna take a look at it today, and if I don't hate it, then yeah, I'll send it to you probably tonight or tomorrow morning. So yeah, it wasn't just that. I also had to do some extra detailing and stuff and like finish some depth, whatnot. It was more than just scaling. It was like I put probably about 45 minutes into it yesterday. Monday or Friday morning, 10 a.m. should be the first print up on the print store in all of its fancy glory, and it's going to be an unlimited series, obviously numbered, but there's going to be a limited series of 10 that's the first edition. So it's going to be a bit different, and we'll see if people like it, man. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Maybe I should only do a limited edition of 5. No, 10. I want to do 10. I want to do 10. Okay. Thanks for chilling, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early. And until next time, my friends, farewell.